Chapter 638. It seemed impossible for Wang Sheng not to agree. Wang Sheng couldn't possibly go on the streets and tell everyone that Mayer and Aki had nothing to do with him, right? Even if he said it, people had to believe it, right? Everyone envied Wang Sheng's boundless luck with women, but Wang Sheng himself could only swallow his pride. He didn't live up to his name, although as long as Wang Sheng nodded, First Madam and Second Madam would definitely not reject him. But didn't Wang Sheng not want to nod his head? The girl in his dreams was getting closer and closer. Wang Sheng could almost smell her scent. How could he fall in love with someone else at this time? Forget it. Let's maintain the status quo for now. Wang Sheng didn't explain, but he also wouldn't do anything to the two girls. Prepare something to eat. Wang Sheng instructed the two maidservants behind Aki. Also, tell Sister Rosa to let her know. If she wants to know what happened inside, quickly prepare the gold coins. The two maidservants bowed in unison and left, leaving only Aki and Wang Sheng. It was strange. When they were fighting side by side in the land of thousand despair, the two of them could still be considered compatible. But in this situation, the two of them being alone together was indescribably uncomfortable. Aki kept her head down and didn't dare to look at Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng wanted to say something, but it seemed like he couldn't say it. It was abnormally awkward. Finally, chefs served the dishes quickly. Wang Sheng looked at the dishes that were already laid out and finally said, "Aki, eat something with me." Aki nodded. She stood up and sat at the table with Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng had just come out from the land of thousand despair, so he had a good appetite. This chef had been taught by Wang Sheng for a long time, so he knew Wang Sheng's taste buds very well. Before the dishes on the table had even been eaten, Wang Sheng could already smell them. After giving chefs some pointers, Wang Sheng and Aki worked together. After eating, Wang Shengkai found a place that was to Aqi's liking. Perhaps it was the habit of being an assassin in the past, but when Aki ate, she was just like Wang Sheng when he was in the army. She wolfed down her food quickly and fiercely, which made Wang Sheng feel like he was back in the army. Feeling excited, Wang Sheng also began to fight for it. The awkward atmosphere between the two was reduced by a lot because of this meal. "Aki, have you lived in the forest before?" After eating and drinking, Wang Sheng sat down to digest his food. He casually found a topic to chat with Aki. "You seem to be very comfortable in the land of thousand despair." Up until now, other than those whose cultivation was much higher than Wang Sheng's, those who could keep up with Wang Sheng in the forest with low cultivation seemed to be Aki. This made Wang Sheng especially curious as to why. "I've lived here for a long time." Aki's face darkened, as if she had remembered something unbearable in the past. But this reaction of Aki made Wang Sheng even more curious. An assassin who kills without blinking actually has such a weak heart. Isn't it a little too fake? Lived in the forest since you were young? Wang Sheng didn't care if Aki was in pain or discomfort. He still wanted to get to the bottom of it. This wasn't because Wang Sheng was cold-blooded. A female assassin who wanted to kill him in the past was following him in such a manner. If he didn't understand her background, you might even be sold off. "Yes, we are a group of orphans. We were trained as assassins since we were young." Hearing Wang Sheng's question, Aki's face darkened a little, but she didn't hide it. She quickly replied, "From the age of 5, after learning the basic skills for 4 years, we were thrown into a forest that was slightly worse than the land of thousand despair to train." 9-year-old children were thrown into the forest to train? Isn't this too cruel and inhumane? Wang Sheng immediately frowned. Even if it was training, shouldn't they first teach them the skills to live in the forest before throwing them in? What was the meaning of throwing them in after only teaching them some basic skills? In the beginning, we were at the edge of the forest. Then, we slowly went deeper. In the end, we were asked to live in the forest for a year before coming out. Since she had already started, Aki didn't have any scruples. She started talking and continued. From the age of 9 until the age of 16, a total of 7 years. The more Aki spoke, the more it seemed that it had nothing to do with her. Her tone became calmer and calmer. I roughly counted. There were about 500 people, but less than 10 came out later. What was the point of throwing a group of children into the forest to train them in survival skills? Wang Sheng immediately thought of the land of Thousand Despair. The Xia family's goal was the land of Thousand Despair. Training this group of people was definitely because they wanted to enter the land of Thousand Despair. Less than 10 out of 500 people came out. Wang Sheng couldn't help but be speechless. The Xia family was really unscrupulous in order to enter the land of Thousand Despair. Even though Wang Sheng's special forces had a shocking elimination rate back on Earth, there was no elimination rate like this. Moreover, elimination in the special forces was elimination. Those that Aki said couldn't come out would definitely never come out. Using a few years to train a few children and not even imparting any experience to let them explore on their own, this was clearly disregarding human life. However, Wang Sheng wouldn't say anything about this. Wang Sheng wasn't a saint. These people had died before he came to this world. Wang Sheng couldn't do anything about it. Even if he could, Wang Sheng wouldn't look for trouble. Then aren't all of you treasures? Wang Sheng was curious again. Wouldn't it be easier to enter the land of Thousand Despair with you guys around? How did you end up as an ordinary assassin? This was what Wang Sheng didn't understand. People like Aki, who had been trained for many years, could be considered as 1 in 100 experts in the jungle. If they wanted to enter the land of Thousand Despair, they should have treated them like treasures. Then they should have built a jungle exploration team around them to explore the land of Thousand Despair bit by bit. Why did Aki end up as an assassin? When I was 9 years old, I entered the jungle for the first time and accidentally fused with a low-level spirit. Aki said with a hint of regret. I relied on this to survive. After a few years, I was found by the family and judged that I had no future, so I was casually sent away. As for the other 6, their families seemed to have found the best source spirits for them, and they had been cultivating all this while intending to explore the grounds of Thousand Despair when they had cultivated to the 7th or 8th stage realm. In the end, you appeared before they could do so. Wang Sheng's appearance was too strange, so much so that the Xia family's carefully prepared jungle experts didn't even have time to put them to use. However, he believed that the cultivation of Aki's companions had improved quite a bit over the years. The Xia family would soon send them into the land of Thousand Despair. Oh yes, I'm very curious. Wang Sheng asked Aki, what kind of spirit did you fuse with that the family actually thought that you have no future? Chapter 639. 6-star White Bobcat. Achi did not keep his source soul a secret from Wang Sheng, so he directly revealed it. 6-star again, the same level as Song Yan's original soul. However, Song Yan was the daughter of the Song family's master and the princess of the Song country. A 6-star soul was equivalent to a waste. But Aki was just an orphan found by the Xia family. A 6-star soul was not low. How could she be regarded as a waste with no future? If even a 6-star source soul cultivator has no future, then what about me? Wang Sheng revealed a wry smile as he spoke in a self-deprecating tone. Aki didn't think that her soul would attract Wang Sheng like this. She opened her mouth, but suddenly didn't know what to say. Just as she was about to comfort her, she suddenly remembered that Wang Sheng was not an expert of the low level. He was clearly an expert of the 5th degree realm, maybe even the 6th degree realm. Please, your soul can be upgraded. Aki directly rolled her eyes at Wang Sheng. Suddenly, her heart was burning with passion. If Wang Sheng really had a way to upgrade his soul, then would there be a chance for her soul to be upgraded? Wang Sheng seemed to see through Aki's thoughts. He suddenly asked with a smile, do you want to upgrade your soul? Yes. Achi didn't say anything else and replied resolutely. Let's talk about it when your cultivation reaches the peak of the 6th degree realm. Wang Sheng smiled and said, at that time, if you're still willing to believe me, I can tell you the secret of upgrading your soul. Aki didn't expect Wang Sheng to answer so directly. She looked at Wang Sheng in disbelief. Her heart suddenly warmed and a smile appeared on her face. She said to Wang Sheng, okay. Originally, he thought that Aki would stay here as the second madam, and Wang Sheng wouldn't do anything to her. However, when Wang Sheng wanted to take a bath in his own home, he realized that he was too naive. After spending more than a month in the grounds of Thousand Despair, Wang Sheng hadn't had a chance to relax. Returning to his home in Carefree City, especially one that had been meticulously set up by the old butler, Wang Sheng felt increasingly exhausted. At this time, taking a beautiful bath and having a good night's sleep was the best thing to enjoy. That was Wang Sheng's plan. However, when Wang Sheng was lying naked in the warm bathtub, enjoying a comfortable hot bath, he suddenly caught a whiff of Aqi's scent at close range. Without killing intent, Aqi would definitely not kill Wang Sheng at this time. Whether it was out of gratitude towards Wang Sheng for taking her in, or the orders from the Xia family, Aqi would not make a move on Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng knew that Aqi couldn't forget what Wang Sheng said to her four companions, but Wang Sheng wouldn't explain or compensate for it. They wanted to kill Wang Sheng, so why would Wang Sheng spare their lives? To put it bluntly, it was Aqi who ran fast. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to survive until now. Who knows when she would be killed by Wang Sheng? As a veteran assassin, Aqi should have this awareness. You want to accompany me to take a bath? Wang Sheng asked with a smile, without opening his eyes. This Aqi was worthy of being the white bobcat soul. She didn't make a sound when she walked. She was simply the most suitable person to be an assassin. I'll help you take a bath. Aqi's voice sounded beside the bathtub, and then there was a soft sound of water. Then, Wang Sheng felt a stream of hot water pouring on his shoulder. It was Aqi who was holding a ladle in her hand. She scooped up a ladle of hot water and poured it on Wang Sheng's shoulder. Her movements were not very familiar. It seemed that she had never done this kind of thing before. Help me wash my hair. Wang Sheng smiled and ordered, but his eyes were still closed. The next moment, Wang Sheng smelled a familiar scent, the highest grade shampoo produced by Moisturizing Workshop. Wang Sheng's courtyard had been renovated. It was said that it was the request of the capital's first madam, Mayor. Of course, Moisturizing Workshop sent a lot of good things here, saying that it was a gift from the first madam to the second madam. Now that Aqi was using it to wash Wang Sheng's hair, it was sent over by Mayor. It had been a few years since he came to this world. Wang Sheng's hair was no longer the original buzz cut. It had become long like other people's hair. This was also the reason why Wang Sheng could come and go freely in the country of Dai without anyone recognizing him. His clothes were fashionable. His hairstyle was also fashionable. Unless he met someone who had seen Wang Sheng, how could the people of the country of Dai recognize Wang Sheng? Aqi washed Wang Sheng's hair carefully. She even helped Wang Sheng to rub his back with a red face. This wasn't Wang Sheng's request, but Aqi did it on her own initiative. Her actions were very unpracticed, but it could be felt that she sincerely wanted to do this for Wang Sheng. She had thought that standing outside the bathtub to wash Wang Sheng's hair and rub his back was the limit. But when Wang Sheng returned to the bedroom and was about to sleep, he realized that he had thought too simply. Aqi came over half an hour after Wang Sheng lay down. Wang Sheng could smell the fragrance from her bath from afar. But when this fragrance came directly to his bedside, Wang Sheng couldn't help but open his eyes with a bitter smile. You didn't have to do this, Wang Sheng said softly to Aqi, who was standing by the bedside. I won't expose you. You can stay in this courtyard. You don't have to change your words when you go out. With only a thin layer of gauze on her body, Aqi shook her head stubbornly. Then, under the gaze of Wang Sheng, she climbed onto Wang Sheng's bed. A pair of slender and beautiful legs could be seen under the gauze. She had a healthy tan complexion and a slender yet supple waist. None of this was concealed in front of Wang Sheng. It made Wang Sheng breathe quickly. Aqi slowly took off her gauze in front of Wang Sheng. Her delicate body was naked, and then she lay beside Wang Sheng. During the whole process, Aqi didn't say a word. Except for her blushing face and hot skin, there was nothing else. The temperature was not particularly high, nor was it particularly cold. But Wang Sheng could still see the small bumps on Aqi's skin. This girl was very nervous. Wang Sheng sighed and gave some of the thin blanket covering him to Aqi to cover her naked body. I know this is not what you want. I won't touch you. Don't worry. Wang Sheng and Aqi lay side by side. Wang Sheng whispered to Aqi, but this is my home. This is my bed, so I won't give it to you. Listening to Wang Sheng's shameful words, Aki was annoyed. But it seemed that Aki couldn't take the initiative. She could only lie side by side with Wang Sheng. She was so shy. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't say anything. I'm tired. Sleep well. Wang Sheng said to Aki and then closed his eyes. It didn't take long for his breathing to become even. He obviously fell asleep. Chapter 640. Aki didn't dare to move, for fear of waking up Wang Sheng and making Wang Sheng do something beastly. However, she couldn't fall asleep either. She couldn't imagine how a young and strong lad like Wang Sheng could remain unmoved in the face of her naked body. Not only that, he could even lie down and sleep in the same bed. From a woman's point of view, this was simply an unbearable shame. This showed that she was not attractive in the eyes of Wang Sheng. Being ignored by Wang Sheng, if this could be tolerated, what could not be tolerated? But on the other hand, Aki was a little relieved. Although she was forced by her family and the situation to declare to the public that she was Wang Sheng's woman to protect herself, but from the bottom of her heart, it seemed that she still couldn't accept a man who killed her partner as her man. The current situation was quite good. She couldn't sleep because of something in her heart, but Aki didn't dare to turn over, for fear that turning over would wake up Wang Sheng. One had to know that Aki was now naked. If she accidentally touched her skin and ignited Wang Sheng's desire, it would not be good. In this kind of situation where one side was worried, but at the same time felt very safe, Aki held on for half the night and finally fell asleep. Aki was gently woken up by Wang Sheng. When Chi woke up, he realized that he was hugging Wang Sheng like an octopus. It was as if he had dreamed of something beautiful and wanted to hold it all in his arms. However, his arms were not enough, and he even wrapped his legs around Wang Sheng. When she realized this, Aki's face was as red as a red cloth. Facing Wang Sheng, she didn't dare to raise her head. Get up. It's time to cultivate in the morning. Wang Sheng patted Aki's shoulder and sat up with a smile. When Wang Sheng's fingers touched her shoulder, Aki couldn't help but shrink back. She suddenly remembered that her current identity should be Wang Sheng's second wife, but Wang Sheng did nothing to her. She couldn't help but tease him. She got up naked, knelt on the bed, and helped Wang Sheng dress. I've done such an inhumane thing, yet you're still lying by my side. I admire you. Wang Sheng couldn't help but praise Aki. Seeing that Aki didn't understand what Wang Sheng meant by worse than a beast, Wang Sheng explained the meaning of the word again, causing Aki to laugh out loud. But she only laughed once before she stopped and covered her mouth to snicker. As she snickered, Aki suddenly understood why Wang Sheng was able to survive when all the vassal states were plotting against him and the whole world was his enemy. Just this self-control was enough to make Aki admire herself. After getting up early to cultivate, she watched Wang Sheng train with all kinds of running equipment, sweating profusely. Aki finally stopped watching and accompanied Wang Sheng to exercise. Sister Rosa arrived very quickly. The morning class had just ended, and Wang Sheng had just taken a bath and eaten breakfast when Sister Rosa arrived excitedly. She was the Assassin Hall's service staff responsible for Wang Sheng. In addition, she was also a disciple of Triumph Palace. Regardless of her identity, she needed to maintain a very smooth communication with Wang Sheng. I've already released the news. Sister Rosa came to report yesterday's results. She reached out and tasted the snacks from Wang Sheng's house and praised, "The food in your house is still the best. If you want to eat, come and eat at my house." Wang Sheng and Sister Rosa spoke very naturally, as if they were talking about ordinary family matters. "Well, I won't be polite. I'm very familiar with your second madam now." Sister Rosa's words made Wang Sheng speechless. It seemed that Aki, the second madam, could not escape. "Where are you going to sell the news? Let the City Lord's mansion or the Assassin Hall be in charge?" Wang Sheng asked casually. Last time, it was at the auction house, which was organized by the Imperial Treasury. This time, Wang Sheng intended to give the City Lord some face and let him be in charge of the City Lord's mansion or the Assassin Hall. By the way, Bao Qing Yutang sent someone to pass on a message, saying that he wants to help voluntarily. When Sister Rosa heard Wang Sheng's question, she also got down to business. This time, the old owner of Baoqing Yutang personally took action and abolished the previous arrogant heir. He especially came to Worry-Free City to take charge. He wants to continue to cooperate with you. Last time, the second-generation young master of Baoqing Yutang came up arrogantly. He suppressed Mei Er and even wanted to kill her. He was also very rude to Wang Sheng. Now, he actually came to ask for cooperation. Is this a joke? When Mei Er arrived in the capital, she especially told Wang Sheng that she was grateful to the old owner of Baoqing Yutang for raising her. So she begged Wang Sheng not to do anything to Baoqing Yutang. Otherwise, Wang Sheng would have cooperated with the imperial treasury to eradicate Baoqing Yutang. However, Song Yin was angry and directly snatched the salt and sugar business from Baoqing Yutang. Other countries followed her example and transferred the salt and sugar business to the government, which greatly damaged the vitality of Baoqing Yutang. It could also be regarded as a vent for Wang Sheng and Mei Er. If Baoqing Yutang wants to cooperate, go to the capital to ask Mei Er. I won't make the decision for Mei Er. Wang Sheng directly told the answer to Sister Rosa. His business partners were Mei Er's team, Qian Xingyuan and Runzi Workshop. Far away, there was the imperial treasury. Why did Wang Sheng need to add Baoqing Yutang? Sister Rosa seemed to have already known this result. She was not surprised at all. Wang Sheng's public impression was that he was a very vengeful person. If someone really cheated him and wanted to solve it with a smile, it would be wishful thinking. If they didn't pay enough lives, would Wang Sheng give them any face? Other families might not know, but Sister Rosa knew that the Dai family was looking for Wang Sheng all over the world. They wanted to give in, but under the circumstances that Wang Sheng killed the Dai family's grand elder, Baoqing Yutang didn't even need to think about it. Marquis LV, when Ho didn't seem to be in Worry-Free City. So this time, the City Lord's mansion organized the sale of information. It was the same small auction as last time. This time, no matter which family or rogue cultivator, as long as one person entered, they would have to pay 50,000 gold coins. There were no restrictions on any identity. Even if the Dai family wanted to enter, they could also pay 50,000 gold coins for one person. There are a few new discoveries. Everyone can go back and pay attention to them. Wang Sheng stood on the stage and said to the nearly 200 people below, "First, cultivation seems to be easier recently. 7th and 8th stage realm experts are emerging and the cultivation time has been greatly shortened." Wang Sheng first said the first discovery. This was what Aki reminded Wang Sheng about. Later on, it was confirmed by the temple of Lao Jun and the royal family. Many people below hurriedly noted it down. No one had paid much attention to this. When Wang Sheng mentioned it, it seemed that there really was such a thing. Not only that, in the past when we were in the grounds of Thousand Despair, even if 8th or 9th stage realm experts entered, their cultivation would be suppressed to the 7th stage realm. Wang Sheng immediately said the clue related to the previous one, but now that suppression seems to have disappeared. You can verify it yourself. Chapter 641. From Wang Sheng's point of view, these changes complemented each other. It was highly possible that a restriction had been lifted somewhere in the grounds of Thousand Extremes, or that a certain array had been broken. As for the latter, there was no need for the large clans to verify it. If it was really suppressed to the 7th stage, then their disciples would not be able to advance in the campsite of the grounds of Thousand Extremes. Even if they were able to advance, they would have to go outside the grounds. But now there were countless disciples who had advanced in the grounds of Thousand Extremes. Originally, this cultivation restriction was the result of the deaths of many disciples from the large clans. Wang Sheng was not the first to discover it, but the latter was noticed by Wang Sheng. Many of the people below nodded their heads in agreement. Secondly, a few days ago, I entered the core of the grounds of Thousand Extremes with a few friends. Wang Sheng continued. The moment they heard Wang Sheng mention the words core of the grounds of Thousand Extremes, everyone fell silent, afraid that Wang Sheng's voice would be blocked out. This time we discovered something interesting. Wang Sheng paused for a moment, looked at the crowd, and said, "Firstly, the expert who emitted the violent aura was not a human. It was a demonic beast that had cultivated to the form of a human. As soon as he said this, the crowd burst into an uproar. The rogue cultivators who entered the grounds of Thousand Extremes for the first time did not know what they had discovered. When they heard that there was a demonic beast that had cultivated to the form of a human, they cried out in shock. As for those who knew what had happened in the grounds of Thousand Extremes, their faces were solemn. Not only was there an expert, it was a demonic beast that had cultivated to the form of a human. This was going to be troublesome, especially some of the older people in the worry-free city. When they heard this, they immediately recalled the battle with a demonic beast that had taken the form of a human over 10 years ago. There were over 10 red token assassins and over 200 green token assassins. Less than 20 of them had survived, and only 3 red token assassins had survived. If it was a demonic beast in human form, it would be even more troublesome than a human expert. Human experts could at least communicate with each other. But how could a demonic beast communicate with them? Other than fighting to the death, there was no other way. The good news for now is that the demonic beast expert is still trapped in a binding array. Wang Xing did not care about the crowd's reaction as he continued to speak. As soon as he spoke, the crowd immediately stopped talking and listened quietly. This news made everyone heave a sigh of relief. However, the sensitive people all heard the word temporary. Temporary meant that it was not permanent. This danger might erupt at any time. However, the bad news is, Wang Xing paused. Everyone was nervous. There was good news and bad news. It really made people feel uneasy. I'm afraid there's more than one such demonic beast expert. Wang Xing looked around at the people below and looked at each person's face. He slowly said, "This time we met 4." Boom! The auction site exploded again. Although many people in the Imperial Treasure House camp had felt the 4 violent auras, this news was still in the hands of the major clans. Wang Xing's sudden disclosure at the scene shocked those who did not know before. Similarly, the good news for now is that these 4 demonic beast experts are trapped in a binding array and cannot leave. Wang Xing once again told the crowd the temporary good news. In the past, these demonic beast experts were sealed in a small iceberg. Wang Xing continued to reveal the secret, causing the crowd to quickly quiet down again. An expert sealed in the ice mountain sounded very mysterious. The core of the Thousand Despair was really a dangerous place. Unfortunately, releasing the aura of a master at the peak of the legendary realm at a close distance will trigger the awakening of those sealed experts. Wang Xing this time said the reason why he did not allow the parties to send experts at the peak of the legendary realm. Unfortunately, this distance is almost within 50 miles. Within 50 miles, there are experts at the peak of the legendary realm. And within this distance, the sealed experts will wake up. Unfortunately, in the core of the Thousand Despair, even the experts at the peak of the legendary realm have to face the situation. Wang Xing sighed and said to the people below who were staring at him, "Every time the aura of a peak legendary expert is released, I am afraid that it can increase the strength of some demonic beast experts to struggle. If it happens too many times, the binding array will not be able to bear it and will collapse." As he said, Wang Xing made an explosive gesture. Although it was just a verbal statement, but many people below had a serious look on their face and became very ugly. Looking at you all like this, I don't want to continue to talk about the bad news. Wang Xing saw the faces of the people below and could not help but sigh again. Everyone was dumbfounded. There was even worse news. The scene was silent at that time. A group of people looked at Wang Xing in a daze. They did not know whether it was right to come here to listen to Wang Xing's news or not. Why was there a series of bad news? The worst news is that a few of us were just wandering around the area of the last demonic beast expert, and as a result, we accidentally released the aura, causing the appearance of 3 new demonic beast experts. Seeing that everyone's attention was focused on him, Wang Xing continued, "We have reason to suspect that there are actually more than 4 such sealed demonic beast experts." Another wave of suppressed exclamations sounded. With the previous few bad news, this one indeed could not cause too much shock to everyone. The people from the major clans were all deep in thought. They were all thinking about how they could benefit their clans from the current situation. A small corner of the core of the Thousand Despair seemed to have been lifted, revealing a mysterious little bit of the truth. The huge benefits and treasures inside seemed to be waiting for everyone to reach out and take them, but no one could take them and could only watch. At present, the number of people who had entered the core of the Thousand Despair and survived, including the experts that Wang Sheng brought this time, was probably not more than 10. And if not for Wang Sheng, perhaps these experts would not have been able to return safely. Therefore, the real key to unlocking the secret of the core of the Thousand Despair was only Wang Sheng. There was no need for Wang Sheng to say any more. That was enough. Wang Sheng casually bid farewell to everyone, turned around and left, leaving behind a group of stunned buyers who were shocked by one explosive news after another. Watching as Wang Sheng left, the crowd was so immersed in all kinds of shock that they even forgot to ask Wang Sheng about the details of entering the core of the Thousand Despair this time. Who exactly did he enter with? What kind of demonic beasts did he encounter? What kind of dangers did he go through? Even just hearing about it was a rare experience. Unfortunately, Wang Sheng did not intend to say so much this time. After releasing so much news, other than wanting to borrow the strength of various parties to uncover the secret of the Thousand Despair, Wang Sheng was also fishing. Chapter 642. That's right, Wang Sheng was fishing. Pavilion Master Linglong had been lured away when the Dai Clan's experts ambushed Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng had learned a thing or two about it after his meeting with Pavilion Master Linglong. The Shi and Gan clans were behind this. These two clans weren't on good terms, and the Shi clan's peerless treasure map had been destroyed by the Gan clan's loyalists. They'd planned to retreat after the theft, but Wang Sheng had lured them away and exposed them. They'd had no choice but to destroy the Shi clan's peerless treasure map. Song Yin had later helped Wang Sheng spread the news that Wang Sheng could open the 4 aspects exquisite seal box, which led to Pavilion Master Linglong probing him. However, Wang Sheng believed that the Shi and Gan clans must have gotten wind of it. The Shi clan's peerless treasure map had been destroyed, so they couldn't do anything if Wang Sheng didn't admit to it no matter how much they wanted to dig up the treasure. Therefore, it wasn't incomprehensible for the Shi clan to think that if they couldn't get it, none of them could. Thus, they secretly helped the Dai clan to kill Wang Sheng. In fact, the Shi clan had done exactly that. Although they'd done it secretly, they couldn't withstand the threat of death. Pavilion Master Linglong explained everything to Wang Sheng and also said that the Shi and Gan clans had lured them away. If the Shi clan did have this motive, then Wang Sheng couldn't understand why the Gan clan would do the same. Perhaps the Gan clan didn't believe him, or perhaps they had ulterior motives. In any case, according to Pavilion Master Linglong, both clans were involved. Wang Sheng wouldn't completely believe her, but he wouldn't let his guard down against the Gan clan just like that. Although he'd said so much when he'd sold the information, he'd actually buried a small bait. The specific location recorded on the Peerless Treasure Map was definitely in the core of the land of 1,000 extremities. Wang Sheng was almost certain of this. Those dots and coils recorded the distribution of formations and the geographical distribution of some mountains, rivers, and the specific location of the Peerless Treasure Map. Without the half of the map in Wang Sheng's hands, the Gan clan wouldn't be able to find any hidden treasures. Without Wang Sheng to lead the way, neither the Gan clan nor the Shi clan would be able to enter the land of Thousand Despair. If the two clans were still hoping to wait until the core of the grounds of Thousand Extremities was as easy to enter and exit as it was now, then they could forget about it. Not to mention what would happen if more and more demonic beast masters were stimulated and revived. If they didn't take advantage of this stable period to take out the treasures, they wouldn't even be able to think about the treasures once those binding formations were broken. If he wanted to retrieve the treasure quickly, he would have to look for Wang Sheng immediately. Wang Sheng could then use the experts from these two clans and their maps to explore the core area of the lands of Thousand Extremities. Of course, if Wang Sheng still wanted to find the treasure after plotting against him, it would depend on whether Wang Sheng was willing or not. However, before Wang Sheng could bait the Shi clan and Gan clan, the Dai clan came knocking on his door. The Dai clan was very polite. This time, it was an elder of the Dai clan, who was also an important official of the Dai kingdom's imperial court. He was very well-behaved and polite at the entrance of Wang Sheng's mansion in the worry-free city. In terms of status, Wang Sheng was a Marquis of Everlasting Victory, which was the same rank as the Marquis of the Dai Kingdom. Therefore, it wasn't embarrassing for this important official of the Dai Kingdom to pay his respects in such a manner. However, if one were to toss aside his identity as an official, Wang Sheng was just an assassin from worry-free city, whereas the elder of the Dai clan was an authoritative figure in the 5 great clans. Yet, he was still so polite to the other party. Wang Sheng didn't reject the Dai clan's elder at the door. Instead, he asked the guards to bring the Dai clan's elder into the living room. Seeing Wang Sheng's arrangement, the Dai clan's elder secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Since Wang Sheng didn't fall out with him, it seemed like he could complete today's mission. The Dai clan's elder wasn't the only one who came. There was also a group of followers carrying dozens of boxes containing gifts into Wang Sheng's mansion. Many people in the worry-free city saw the Dai clan's elder enter Wang Sheng's mansion. Everyone was well aware of the Dai clan's plan. Seeing how the other clans were fishing and grooming their descendants in the land of Thousand Despair, while the Dai clan was locked out, they naturally couldn't tolerate such a situation. If they were in Dai clan's shoes, they would probably do the same. Wang Sheng didn't let the Dai clan's elder wait for long. Basically, the moment the tea was served, Wang Sheng appeared. When the Dai clan's elder saw Wang Sheng, he immediately greeted him with the courtesy of greeting his marquis. Even Wang Sheng couldn't help but admit that the Dai clan's attitude this time was extremely humble. For a long time, the Grand Elder has been controlling the clan's affairs, causing the patriarch to be angry but not dare to say anything. The Dai clan's elder spoke to Wang Sheng in a solemn and grateful tone. Fortunately, Marquis Changsheng acted righteously and killed this bastard of the Dai clan, allowing the Marquis to truly control the Dai nation. In order to express our gratitude to Marquis Changsheng, the Marquis specially ordered us to present these gifts to express our gratitude. Even though they didn't look at the dozens of boxes outside, anyone with a brain would know that they were definitely priceless. The Dai clan was truly willing to put in so much effort for the core secrets of the land of Thousand Despair. The Dai clan's elder was very tactful and only expressed his gratitude. He didn't mention a single word about Wang Sheng sealing off the Dai clan, as if it had never happened. He was also extremely humble, putting himself in the position of a subject of the Dai nation and treating Wang Sheng as a marquis of the same level as Marquis Dai. He had really done it to the extreme. Wang Sheng had already killed the culprit, as well as many of the people who did it, as well as the Dai clan's disciples in the land of Thousand Despair. He had already collected 70 to 80% of his debt. Seeing the Dai clan's attitude, Wang Sheng didn't continue to make things difficult for them. Deal with the people who did it yourself. Wang Sheng didn't beat around the bush and directly made his request. Even though he had agreed to it, it wasn't a complete agreement. You can enter the lands of Thousand Devastations when their heads are delivered to the worry-free city. Of course, remember, even if there are peak legendary experts, it's best not to release their aura inside. The people who did it were all the Great Elder's trusted subordinates. As Marquis Dai cleaned up the Great Elder's faction, those people definitely wouldn't have a good ending. They might have already done it. Hearing this request from Wang Sheng, the Dai clan's elder immediately revealed a look of joy. He stood up and bowed to Wang Sheng. "Thank you for your understanding, Marquis Changsheng. The heads of those traitors will be sent to Carefree City the next day. Your subject shall take his leave." The group of Dai clan members left happily. They had achieved their goal. The Dai clan could use the land of Thousand Despair to nurture experts and covet the core secrets of the land of Thousand Despair. "Aki, keep the things properly," Wang Sheng said to Aki, who came out to ask about the results. "See if there's anything you like and pick 1 or 2 to play with. Also, you provided a portion of the information on the sale, so you'll get 20% of the gold coins." Chapter 643. Aki told Wang Sheng that her cultivation seemed to be getting faster and faster in recent years. At this time, Wang Sheng actually gave Aki 20% of the earnings from selling the information. Aki was quite surprised. One had to know that although Wang Sheng did not use the form of an auction this time, 50,000 gold coins per person, and there were 200 people present, that was about 10 million gold coins. 20% was 2 million gold coins. Since young, Aki had never received more than 50,000 gold coins, even when she completed the most successful assassination mission. When had she ever seen 2 million gold coins? Hearing Wang Sheng's words, Aki was directly stunned. 2 million gold coins, just like that? She stood there in a daze until Wang Sheng left to go back to the back to cultivate, but Aki still did not recover. Madam, the Marquis has plenty of gold coins. It's just 2 million gold coins. While Aki was in a daze, one of the two young servant girls following behind could not stand it anymore and reminded her. Although the two young servant girls were only two servants when they followed Wang Sheng, there were a total of 4 people in the family. Other than Wang Sheng and the two of them, there was only one chef. For a long time, Wang Sheng's gold coins in Carefree City were directly piled up in the courtyard where they originally lived. When tens of millions of gold coins were piled up, the two young servant girls felt that it was rare at first. But after seeing gold coins every day, they did not feel that it was rare anymore. This also caused Aki, the second madam, to not be as knowledgeable as the two young servant girls in terms of gold coins, and was secretly mocked by the two young servant girls. Although Aki did not see much gold coins during the time she lived here, but the cheapest food, clothing, and accommodation, no matter which one was taken out, was at least 100 gold coins. When she was an assassin, she also traveled extensively and naturally knew the price of these things, especially the cultivation spirit gathering array that covered the entire courtyard that would cost tens of millions of gold coins. But even so, Aki was still elated for a long time because of the joy of having 2 million gold coins for the first time. Because of this, Wang Sheng mocked him for being a miser for a long time. The news of Wang Sheng selling the core of the Grounds of Thousand Despair was very successful. However, Wang Sheng had concealed a lot of information. For example, Wang Sheng didn't mention the few experts who had entered the Place of Despair with him. Everyone only knew that they were at the peak of the legendary realm, but they didn't know who they were. In addition, there was not a single word about the specific process. Who knew how many people wanted to know the details, but had no way to enter? Achi happily rummaged through the chests sent by the Dai family. The things inside were all valuable. If measured in gold coins, it would be around 10 million gold coins. However, most of them were tools, and there wasn't much that Wang Sheng needed urgently. There were no cultivation techniques, no medicinal pills, no equipment, but at least the value was real. The gift was very sincere. In fact, at this time, as long as the Dai clan showed this attitude, the gifts were no longer important. The items were ornamental utensils that could be placed on display. The two servant girls placed these things in the newly renovated residence, and it looked like there was a trace of heritage. On the other hand, the Elder Lord's guard looked at these things and couldn't help but twitch his mouth. In the end, he couldn't help but say to Wang Sheng, "Marquis, why don't you ask First Madam to help you with these things in the future? Your taste is too simple." In other words, he directly said that Wang Sheng only recognized some yellow and white things, or a bunch of cultivation techniques and medicinal pills that others didn't value. He didn't understand the real meaning of the things. Wang Sheng touched his chin and pondered for a while. He suddenly felt that the guard leader was right. After all, he had only been in this world for a short time. Other than cultivation and survival, he really didn't pay attention to the real valuable things in this world. In the future, it would be more suitable to leave the bargaining to Mei Er. He believed that with Bao Qing Yu Tang's ability from a young age, she would definitely be able to squeeze oil out of a stone. That makes sense. Wang Sheng nodded to the guard leader. How about this? I'll let them talk to Mei Er in the future. We'll do the work after the discussion. The guard leader nodded and didn't say anything else. He reached out his hand and gave Wang Sheng a thumbs up. Obviously, he agreed with this point. Just as the two of them made this decision, a guest came to the door. It was as if he had specially come to deliver food to Mei Er. When the guest announced his identity, Wang Sheng secretly laughed in his heart. A big fish had taken a bait. The guest was from the Shi clan. He was very polite and didn't hide anything. He wanted to ask if Wang Sheng had taken the peerless treasure map from the Shi clan. No. Wang Sheng directly shook his head and replied confidently, I didn't take the map. It has always been in the Four Elements exquisite seal box. If it had always been in the exquisite seal box, it meant that the map had really been destroyed. This answer did not come as a surprise to the Shi family, because the news they received was that Wang Sheng had seen the picture and had a photographic memory. He had memorized the contents of the picture. To the Shi clan, it didn't matter if the map was destroyed or not. As long as the contents of the map were still there, they would be able to cooperate with the Gan clan. This was also the reason why they begged Wang Sheng to be their disciple. I'm sorry, I can't open the exquisite seal box. Wang Sheng denied with a smile on his face. Who told you that I can open the exquisite seal box? Who are you going to find? I can't open it. The representative of the Shi clan was stunned on the spot. Wang Sheng's reply was different from what he had heard. The problem was, could he force Wang Sheng to admit it? To make a move in the inner city of Worry-Free City, beside the Castellan's manor? Was he tired of living? Who told the Shi clan that Wang Sheng could open the exquisite seal box? It definitely couldn't look for it. The other way to verify it was through the pavilion master of the exquisite pavilion. However, if he begged the pavilion master of the exquisite pavilion, he would probably be stretching his neck out for the pavilion master of the exquisite pavilion to dominate. The various vassal states weren't blind and could naturally see that the Laojun Temple and the royal family were putting pressure on the pavilion master of the exquisite pavilion. The Dai clan submitted so quickly not only because it was in line with the Dai clan's interests, but also because they knew that the Laojun Temple was supporting Wang Sheng. They didn't know what had happened to the Laojun Temple previously, but they had transferred many young elites away and guarded the Laojun Temple tightly. It was probably something important. Once the Laojun Temple had calmed down and targeted the Dai clan, the other vassal states would probably be more than happy to help the Laojun Temple divide the Dai clan among themselves. How could such a thing be allowed to happen? Marquis Dai made a prompt decision to lower his stance and admit defeat to Wang Sheng. He pushed all the blame to the great elder who was killed by Wang Sheng. Only then did he get a satisfactory result. The Shi clan was also secretly involved at that time. Even if Wang Sheng didn't know about it, the pavilion master of the exquisite pavilion would definitely not let it go. If they begged the pavilion master of the exquisite pavilion, they would definitely be extorted. Chapter 644. No matter what, the other half of the treasure map belonged to the Shi clan. If the Gan clan entered and the Shi clan could only look at it, how could the Shi clan swallow this insult? In the end, they could only allow the Linglong Pavilion to make a move. No matter what, they had to confirm that Wang Sheng was able to open the Four Elements Linglong seal box before they could negotiate with Wang Sheng, right? The representative from the Shi family could tell that Wang Sheng was just putting on an act. He was just waiting for them to walk right up to him and get slaughtered. Not long after the Shi clan left, another group of people arrived for Wang Sheng. To be more precise, it was the second big fish, the Gan clan. Unlike the Shi clan, the Gan clan was in possession of the other half of the treasure map. Even if Wang Sheng wanted to enter, he would have to rely on the other half of the map. Thus, the Gan clan was more confident than the Shi clan. However, no matter how confident they were, when it came to Wang Sheng would have to take a step back. If he didn't know, no one could do anything to Wang Sheng. Making a move in the inner city of the Worry-Free City was equivalent to going against the city lord. If they didn't want to court death, they would have to seek confirmation from the Linglong Pavilion. At the end of the day, it was a small matter that everyone knew the answer, but the person involved refused to admit it. In the past, be it the Shi clan or the Gan clan, they would definitely send someone to teach Wang Sheng a lesson. They would first capture him, then torture him, or use something similar to the truth pill. Was there anything Wang Sheng didn't want to say? However, that was in the past, not now. Many people were staring at Wang Sheng, waiting for Wang Sheng to lead the way. They didn't want to end up like the Dai clan. They were clearly at the edge of the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair and were only a step away from entering, but they were rejected outside the door. Wang Sheng really had the ability to do so. Hundreds of millions of man-eating ants were no joke. Even a peak Legend Realm expert would have to kneel before them. Therefore, if Wang Sheng didn't admit it, they could only beat around the bush and didn't dare to use force. Of course, both of them had a guilty conscience. They knew that Wang Sheng and Linglong Pavilion Master had found out that they had secretly taken drastic measures last time, so they were working together to get back at them. For the peerless treasures, I'll accept it. There was still a long way to go in the future, and it was impossible for them to rely on Wang Sheng forever. For now, they had to lower their heads just like the Dai family and wait for the day to get back at him. Wasn't there a saying in the great clans that a gentleman's revenge was a dish best served cold? The two vassal states had people stationed everywhere. As soon as the messenger bird was sent out, the other side would know what to do. On the third day, the Sher clan and the Gon clan came looking for him together. Of course, before this, Linglong Pavilion Master had already sent a letter to Wang Sheng to express her gratitude. She also told Wang Sheng that she would pay for the craftsmanship of the vernier caliper and the spiral micrometer. 10 million gold coins had already been sent to Chongqing Marquis residents. In addition, she would keep the craftsmanship of Wang Sheng's heavy sniper crossbow a secret. It was unknown how Linglong Pavilion Master had bribed these two families, but she had promised Wang Sheng that in the future, if Wang Sheng needed them, he could buy all kinds of precious materials from Linglong Pavilion at a fair price. Any Grandmaster or Grandmaster of Linglong Pavilion, as long as Wang Sheng needed it, would be willing to help Wang Sheng as long as Wang Sheng paid the normal price. Seeing that Linglong Pavilion Master had agreed to this, Wang Sheng knew that Linglong Pavilion Master must have asked the Sher clan and the Gon clan to cut their flesh. Very good. A small favor in exchange for this kind of cooperation was not bad. Marquis, Linglong Pavilion has confirmed that you can open the 4-aspect exquisite seal box. In front of Wang Sheng, the Sher clan representative forced a smile and said to Wang Sheng, "You don't have to hide it from us anymore." "So what?" Wang Sheng asked with a smile. "I did not snatch the 4-aspect exquisite seal box from your Sher clan, nor did I open your 4-aspect exquisite seal box. Am I right?" The Sher clan representative really could not find any fault with these few words. While the Sher clan representative was feeling uncomfortable, Wang Sheng turned to the Gon clan representative. "You came together to discuss the same matter?" The Gon clan representative nodded and admitted, "It is about the peerless treasure map." Seeing that Wang Sheng didn't seem to understand, the Gon family's representative didn't hide it anymore. He pointed to the Sher family's consolation and explained on behalf of the two families. "Our two families had a small misunderstanding previously. Now that we've cleared it up, we would like to resolve this matter together." A small misunderstanding? Wang Sheng snickered inwardly. Wang Sheng had been present at the time. The Gon clan had sent out death warriors, lying in ambush for several years before succeeding in one strike. If he had not interfered, would the Sher clan even have a chance? They had been unknowingly caught by the Sher clan and had no choice but to bring the Sher clan along. Was there such a thing as a small misunderstanding between large families and vassal states? I had thought that half of the map had been completely destroyed and that there was no hope for the peerless treasure map. The Gon clan's representative smiled and advised Wang Sheng, "But the heavens have the virtue of cherishing life. To think that Lord Marquis saw it and even remembered it. So we were wondering if we could cooperate with Marquis just this once." "What kind of cooperation?" Wang Sheng asked without batting an eyelid. "Marquis, you have half of the map, and so do we. Let's go in and explore the peerless treasure together. We'll split the treasures, half for Marquis and half for us. How about it?" The Gon clan representative did not beat around the bush, directly stating the decision he had discussed with the Sher clan. Wang Sheng did not immediately make a decision after hearing this proposal. Instead, he closed his eyes and began to mull it over. Splitting the peerless treasures equally with two vassal states? It sounded like a good offer, but it was also the fastest way to die. Forget it. Wang Sheng began to shake his head. The Gan and Shi clan representatives' hearts sank. If Wang Sheng did not agree, they would be in big trouble. To tell you the truth, I'm not interested in the treasure. Wang Sheng straightforwardly stated his intentions. So there's no need to mention the half of what you said. However, I have a new suggestion that you can consider. Marquis, please speak. The two representatives became excited and hurriedly asked in unison. I've seen half of the map. I can draw it and sell it to you. Wang Sheng revealed a plan he had long since thought of. It doesn't matter which of you two families buys it. You could decide how to split it. It has nothing to do with me. I only want the price of the half of the map. If it's done, you can go to the capital to discuss the exact price with the madam. If not, then we'll go about our own business. How about it? The Gan and Shi clan representatives couldn't believe their ears when they heard Wang Sheng's proposal. Was there such a good deal? He didn't want the peerless treasure and only want to sell the map? Of course they would agree. How could they not? After coming to their senses, the two immediately realized that Wang Sheng was not an easy person to deal with. He was not greedy and knew how much he should take. He knew how much he should take. Such a person was the best candidate to cooperate with. Chapter 645. In the end, the Shi clan and the Gan clan managed to buy half of the peerless treasure map from Wang Sheng, but they had to pay a hefty price for it for Mayer. Mayer was not like Wang Sheng, who only knew how to ask for gold coins, cultivation methods, and elixirs. Now, that Mayer and the Empress were doing business together. As long as the cultivation methods and elixirs were not top-secret items, Mayer could get as many as Wang Sheng needed. There was no need to worry about gold coins. Therefore, what Mayer wanted were other things. The special products of the Shi clan and the Gan clan, some mineral resources, enough spices, food, cloth, livestock, and just these things that were related to the survival of the common people took up half of it. The other half was some luxury goods. It was said that they were going to decorate the Chongqing Marquis' residence, so they wanted some historical and cultural treasures. Paintings, carvings, and all kinds of treasures were innumerable. Despite the pain, the Shi clan and the Gan clan did not bargain and agreed on the spot. Then, Wang Sheng was also very straightforward. After asking the Gan clan about the size of half of the map, he locked himself in his room and spent half the afternoon drawing the other half of the map on an animal skin of the same size. Wang Sheng was very particular about doing business. He was not going to use this treasure map to cheat the two clans, so he gave him the real half of the treasure map. When the two maps were put together, they fit perfectly. Even the lines on them matched. When it was time to deliver the goods, the expert who was in charge of the Gan clan's half of the map took out a pair and was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. If he had not personally cut out this animal skin and handed it to Wang Sheng, he would even suspect that this was the original map. From the direction of the lines and the distribution of those circles, it should be possible to see that there was a pattern. At least, the map that Wang Sheng took out was 80% authentic. This was the professional judgment of the Gan clan and the Shi clan. If you have any problems, feel free to look for me. Wang Sheng was very generous and gave a promise. Although the Shi clan and the Gan clan didn't dare to trust 100%, Wang Sheng's reputation in this aspect had always been outstanding. He had never swindled people in business, so his credibility was extremely high. Thus, the Shi clan and the Gan clan accepted the half of the peerless treasure map. Both sides had already prepared people to sit down and study it. Comparing the geography of various places, they chose the most likely place to hide the treasures. In the end, after much searching, the two parties were stunned to find that there was no place that matched the information they could find. The experts the two families found were all familiar with the place, and they even had a large number of hand-drawn maps for reference. However, after hundreds of people studied, the final conclusion was that this was not a place they were familiar with. If it wasn't known by ordinary geographers, where else could it be? A place popped up in the minds of the two masters at the same time, the land of 1,000 despair. A group of experts had never understood what those circles meant. They could decipher lines, mountains, rivers, valleys, and so on, but no one could understand the circles. However, when everyone thought of the land of 1,000 despair, someone's mind flashed. Could this be the range of a formation? These circles were actually the distribution map of a formation. There was definitely a formation in the land of 1,000 despair, but apart from one person, no one else could be familiar with the situation in the land of 1,000 despair, let alone know the distribution of the formation. The Sher clan and the Gon clan sadly realized that they had tried so hard to obtain the complete treasure map from Wang Sheng, but Wang Sheng didn't agree to interfere. Instead, they had no choice but to bite the bullet and ask Wang Sheng to get involved. The world was really strange. Ask Wang Sheng to help? It wasn't that they couldn't, but the problem was that they would have to face Wang Sheng or Mei from the capital, who demanded an exorbitant price. They had taken the initiative to ask for Wang Sheng's help, so they would definitely be bitten hard. During this period of time, Wang Sheng had been recuperating and had received a few representatives from the other clans. The Xia family had come, but on account of Aki, they had given them a little more detailed information. People from the Tang clan and Song clan had come. All the vassal states that could be counted had basically expressed their intention to cooperate with them. Wang Sheng had pushed back all of these intentions to a month later. He announced to the public that he needed to recover from his previous adventure in the core of the land of 1,000 despair. Everyone knew that entering the core of the land of 1,000 despair would be a life-threatening journey. It was necessary to be fully focused, so it was normal for his body and mind to be more exhausted than usual. In less than a month, Wang Sheng met the two representatives from the Sher clan and the Gon clan again. I just want to look at the map. No problem. Wang Sheng agreed readily. As long as you don't leave worry-free city. Although he agreed readily, the moment he turned his head, Wang Sheng shouted at Aki. Aki, what do you want? Just tell me. The two representatives did not know whether to laugh or cry as they looked at Wang Sheng's behavior, but they were not the least bit surprised. It was impossible for them to get Wang Sheng's help without offering anything. They did not have that kind of relationship. I want a good dagger. Aki did not stand on ceremony and directly made a request. It's not too much, right? Wang Sheng's gaze immediately turned to the representatives from the two clans. What else could they say at this time? They could only nod and say, "It's not too much, not at all. If it was just a dagger, it was really not too much when compared to a peerless treasure map." Both of them nodded. Wang Sheng was also straightforward. Just bring it over another day. Where's the map? Let me see. Of course, they had the map with them. However, it was not these two representatives, but two experts from the two clans. Wang Sheng understood that the half of the map he had drawn had fallen into the hands of the Sher clan. He did not know how the two clans balanced their interests. When the two diagrams were put together, before Wang Sheng looked at them, he asked a question. I've seen the other half of the map, but I don't understand the meaning of those circles. It's a formation. Since they had allowed Wang Sheng to see the map, there was no need to hide anything from him. The representative of the Sher clan answered seriously. After careful examination by our people, we have determined that those circles are formations. They are the boundaries of the formations. Formation? Ah, that's right. Realization suddenly dawned on Wang Sheng. Then, as if he suddenly thought of something, he rushed to the two diagrams and bent down to examine them carefully. Here? No, this is not right either. Still not right. Wang Sheng muttered to himself as he looked at the two diagrams. Sometimes, he would even turn to look at the two diagrams from a different angle. Finally, a smile appeared on his face. I see. Without waiting for the two families to question him anxiously, Wang Sheng stretched out his hand and drew a circle at the corner where the two maps connected. These four formations should be the locations of the four experts that I found in the core of the land of 1,000 despair. Chapter 646. Wang Sheng, the Sher clan, and the Gon clan were all shocked by the result. Wang Sheng was surprised. Since the land of 1,000 despair was formed after the Lin clan was besieged, how did this map get out? The Sher clan and the Gon clan were surprised. How could this be the core area of the land of 1,000 despair? If it was really the core area of the land of 1,000 despair, how could they enter? Did Wang Sheng see wrongly? Both sides had the same concern. Wang Sheng couldn't believe it himself, so he quickly confirmed it again. The original half of the map only had a circle within it, so it was impossible for Wang Sheng to see the positions of the 4 arrays from a single map. But after the hidden formation map was completed, Wang Sheng could confirm that the positions of the 4 circles were the same as the 4 auras in the core area of the Land of Thousand Despair. This time, Wang Sheng looked carefully and even used a ruler to measure the distance and proportion. Finally, after some calculations, Wang Sheng nodded again. Yes, it's exactly the same as the 4 demonic beast experts, Wang Sheng said with certainty. Using this time's careful examination, he had memorized the entire map. Even if the map was completely destroyed, Wang Sheng could still copy it from memory. Not only that, when he turned around, Wang Sheng used his personal combat terminal to take another picture of the complete map. The map was on the table, and the experts of the 2 clans were behind Wang Sheng. Who would have thought that Wang Sheng could take a picture of the map with the help of modern technology on Earth? Putting away the combat terminal, Wang Sheng looked at the dozen or so circles on the map. With some uncertainty, he said, "If these are all magic arrays." He drew a circle on the map, covering almost all the circles. Pointing at the large circle, he said, "These magic arrays should be within the core area. The rest should be outside the core area. If you don't believe me, you can look for these formations in the outer area." Wang Sheng gave a pertinent suggestion. "If you can find all of them, you should be able to verify my words." The so-called array formations outside the core area were basically in the half of the hidden array diagram that the Gan clan had kept and not the half that Wang Sheng had drawn. In other words, it was impossible for Wang Sheng to falsify the original map. If he really found these formations, then according to the markings on the map, this peerless treasure was really in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair. This conclusion wasn't surprising at all. The Shi clan and the Gan clan were well aware of this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so eager to bite the bait set by Wang Sheng, just because the core of the ground of despair was constantly emitting the auras of experts. However, the fact that they were in the core area of the Land of Thousand Despair so directly caught the 2 families off guard. The proof was indeed very simple, but that was only for Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng was the only person in the entire grounds of despair who could enter it as though it was a flat ground. Even though these vassal states were powerful and had many experts, in the grounds of 1,000 extremities, if one was not careful, they would not even have a place to be buried. They would only end up as the feces of demonic beasts and insects. What should they do? Should they beg Wang Sheng to let them make this trip? Don't look at me. Wang Sheng didn't wait for the 2 families to come up with a solution. He took the initiative to decline. "Entering the core area has consumed too much of my body, and I haven't recovered yet. Don't look at me. Organize your own people and rely on the Imperial Treasury's camp to take a look at the periphery of the core area." Wang Sheng had been saying this to the outside world for the past few days, so the representatives of the Shi clan and the Gan clan didn't find it strange. No matter how much Wang Sheng wanted to reap benefits from them, he couldn't overdraft his own life. Wang Sheng's attitude saved the 2 families from having to think of a solution. They could only go back and think of a solution. After sending off the 2 families, Wang Sheng immediately ordered his maidservant to send a letter to Mayor, telling her to prepare to slaughter the Gan clan and the Shi clan again. Not to mention whether the 2 families could verify the formation in the Land of Thousand Extremes. Even if they could, they would definitely look for Wang Sheng when they entered the core area of Thousand Extremes. Not to mention other things, just the prevention method of snow blindness would require them to grit their teeth and pay Wang Sheng enough compensation. Otherwise, if a few legendary experts died inside, the 2 families would die of heartache. After arranging to send a letter to Mayor, Wang Sheng still maintained a peaceful life. But there was one more enjoyment in life. Just like in the capital, Wang Sheng would ask a few female singers to come to his residence every day to sing him some songs from this world. He didn't count the ones he had heard before, but only listened to the ones he hadn't heard before. In this regard, Mayor seemed to have already made arrangements. When Wang Sheng made this request, the guard leader indicated that he was already prepared. The female singers and zither players were specially invited from several places, and they had already prepared the songs that Wang Sheng had heard before. When choosing songs, they would never choose from the ones on the list. After the new songs were sung, they would be recorded on the list, and the new zither player and female singers would continue to choose. The Sher clan and the Gan clan waited patiently for almost half a month, and during this time, they even sent over a dagger of superior quality that they had promised. Aki was very happy with the dagger, but after seeing it, Wang Sheng felt that it was ordinary. It was the most ordinary style, the design was ordinary, and the material was relatively ordinary. However, since Aki liked it, he took it and played with it. In this half a month, Wang Sheng's keyboard path had advanced by almost a dozen steps. During this period of time, Wang Sheng dared to say that he had made great progress in the area of his listening accuracy. Sometimes, when the zither player occasionally played a wrong note, or if there was a problem with the zither, Wang Sheng would be able to hear it with just one ear. It was as if there was a mistake in the song, and Wang Sheng had to take care of it. After resting for a long time, Wang Sheng began to make preparations to move out. Strangely enough, the Gan clan and Sher clan must have used some tricks or agreed to some conditions, but none of the vassal states' people who should have taken the initiative to come to them did so. Wang Sheng didn't care about this. After making his preparations, he planned to leave the city and return to the capital. Of course, he couldn't show any eagerness to enter the grounds of Thousand Extremities at this time. Even if he loosened the reins only to grasp them better, he had to first leave the place and make the two families anxious. Seeing that Wang Sheng had such a plan, the two families who had been patiently waiting for more than half a month finally couldn't sit still anymore. They directly stopped Wang Sheng at the city gates of Worry-Free City. Enter the grounds of Thousand Extremities? Wang Sheng looked at the two familiar representatives who were looking at him eagerly and frowned. The periphery of the core region is fine. I definitely wouldn't dare to enter the core region in the short term. Are you sure you want to go in? The more Wang Sheng refused, the more eager the two families became for Wang Sheng to lead the way. Wang Sheng desperately refused to enter the core region of the grounds of Thousand Extremities, but the two families desperately begged Wang Sheng to lead the way. In the end, Wang Sheng finally gave a tentative nod of agreement. We can go in, but first, Wang Sheng stated his conditions. Firstly, I will only lead the way and not do anything else. If you can agree, we'll continue the discussion. If not, then forget it. He had never heard of anyone from the other vassal states getting wind of it. This was enough to explain everything. If the peerless treasures were to be obtained in the future, it would be too late for the other vassal states to cause any trouble. If one thought about it carefully, this kind of cooperation was actually quite good. The two of them met each other's eyes and saw the wavering in each other's eyes. Okay. The two of them said their decision in unison. In any case, they had originally asked Wang Sheng to lead the way, and Wang Sheng was only going to lead the way. The most important one, Wang Sheng sighed and said what was probably the most difficult thing to accept. I will try my best to ensure everyone's safety, but I can't give an absolute guarantee. Do you understand what I mean? The two of them nodded in unison. Even without Wang Sheng's reminder, they already knew what was going on. Wang Sheng had repeatedly emphasized this point when he brought everyone into the land of Thousand Extremities. Moreover, they were entering the heart of the land of Thousand Extremities this time. If you agree, then go and prepare. Wang Sheng stood up and said to the two of them, while you and Madam are discussing the payment, prepare 10 people, no more than 10. Also, don't forget to pay for the prevention method of snow blindness. 10 experts? 5 on each side, and they still wanted to explore the peerless treasures. Moreover, when Wang Sheng arrived, he would take 2 of them with him. Wouldn't that mean that there were only 8 left? How could that be enough? The 2 of them argued with each other. In the end, Wang Sheng gave in. He would take 2 of the 12, and the remaining 10 could still explore the peerless treasures. In addition, Wang Sheng would not be responsible for the 10 of them coming out. Along the way, he wanted them to leave a sign and go back the way they came. The prevention method of snow blindness was very important. If a powerful expert suddenly lost their vision, their strength would definitely be reduced by half, or even more. This was the key to whether they could come out alive, so it could not be taken lightly. No matter how high the price was, they had to buy it. Let me say this first. This method is very simple, but it was tested with the lives of many people. I only found out about it by chance. Once again, Wang Sheng put the ugly words in front. Don't think that I cheated you because of this. Since they had spent a lot of money, they did not care about such a small amount. The representatives of the two families nodded together. Then, they arranged masters and people in the capital to bargain with Mei Er. At the same time, they prepared the materials according to the list made by Wang Sheng. This time, Wang Sheng also got his customized things from the two gurus of Linglong Pavilion who lived in his old house. A series of equipment suitable for living in the world of ice and snow, such as ice skates, skis, ski poles, detachable sleds, snow boots, assault jackets, and so on. These were prepared by Wang Sheng for himself. At the right time, Wang Sheng could use them to escape. As for the others, some trump cards could only be prepared for Wang Sheng himself. Again, Wang Sheng was not the Virgin Mary. Mayer had already received the news. She had been sharpening her knife and waiting in the capital. She did not expect that Wang Sheng would really let her do the bargaining. She had already recognized Wang Sheng as her man. Therefore, Mei Er was very clear that since her man was risking his life to work outside, she would not let his risk go to waste. Those who dared to let her man risk his life, she must let them taste the taste of heartache. The Sher family and the Gan family moved very fast. In addition to the negotiation, information, and preparation, it only took them 3 days. 12 masters were ready and waiting for Wang Sheng outside the worry-free city. When the two representatives came to invite Wang Sheng could clearly see the heartache on their faces. Although he knew that they were doing it for him, Wang Sheng still felt happy. It seemed that Mayer really waved her knife a lot. He would ask her how much meat she cut from the two families when he came back. After meeting with several masters, Wang Sheng did not talk much nonsense. Everyone went straight to the camp along the road in the land of Thousand Despair opened by the Imperial Treasure House. It was the most labor-saving way to change directions when they arrived at the camp. Chapter 648. When Wang Sheng left with the two families, there were many speculations in the worry-free city. No one knew that they were going to explore the peerless treasures. Everyone thought that the Gan and Sher families were going to risk their lives to seize the initiative in the core region of the grounds of Thousand Extremities. In the past month, the Gan clan and the Sher clan had been jumping up and down. They had made many promises to the various parties in exchange for being the first to hire Wang Sheng to enter the core of the lands of Thousand Despair. This was no longer a secret. Seeing that they were on their way, the various parties were also looking forward to hearing more and better news from them. None of the great clans that had been passed down for centuries were simple. Who couldn't see how dangerous the core region of the grounds of Thousand Extremities was? Those who went in first were the explorers who risked their lives to find a safe route. Of course, taking the initiative might bring them great benefits, but there were also great risks. The problem was whether the price was worth it or not. The first time Wang Sheng led a team in, only 3 people came out. The second time should be more complete. Wang Sheng didn't say the details, but it was clear that those who went in didn't do anything. They just looked around, leaked their aura, and had no choice but to retreat. The Gan and Sher families definitely wouldn't just look around. As long as they did something, they would most likely lose a few lives. Although the secret of the core region of the grounds of Thousand Extremities was good, their own legendary experts were more important. It was better to wait and see what the Gan and Sher families could get. As for their experiences in the core region, it was easy to find out. It had to be known that Wang Sheng had accompanied them on this trip. This time, Wang Sheng had forgotten to mention that his experiences on the road could be sold. However, Mayer had not forgotten about it. If he sold it for tens of millions of gold coins, why not? The Gan and Sher families pondered for a long time. As long as it didn't involve peerless treasures, it really didn't matter, so they agreed to this condition. For the various families, a condition that the Gan and Sher families agreed to, coupled with the fact that they could easily obtain the exploration experience from Wang Sheng, was enough for them to give up the most dangerous opportunity and wait for the result in the worry-free city. Wang Sheng and the 12 experts took a few days to reach the Imperial Treasure House's camp. After resting for half a day and a night in the camp, they replenished some supplies and then directly entered the place of despair. There was no need for Wang Sheng to emphasize the rules of entering the grounds of thousand extremities. Regardless of how powerful an expert was, once they entered the land of thousand despair, they would have to listen to Wang Sheng. The first ironclad rule was no longer about not doing what was forbidden. Rather, they just had to listen to Wang Sheng. Along the way, they had been walking for a full 3 days. Because they were all experts, they still used a very direct method and did not hide from the demonic beasts. "Where's the map?" Wang Sheng stopped and shouted at a Gan clan expert who was following closely behind him. "Map?" The Gan family expert was stunned. Wang Sheng still needed a map in the land of thousand extremities? One of the Sure clan's experts behind him coughed. Only then did the Gan clan's expert realize that Wang Sheng was talking about the treasure map. The two families each took one half. They took out a map and put it in front of Wang Sheng. "This formation." Wang Sheng pointed to a formation circle on it, and then pointed to a place not far ahead. "Formation experts, go and have a look. From the relative position, it should be this." The two families brought their formation experts with them. They immediately went out of the crowd and rushed to the place pointed by Wang Sheng. After a while, they came back with good news. There is indeed a formation. From the obvious formation fluctuations detected, even those who were not proficient in formations could tell that it must be a formation. However, the specific type of formation needed further study. For the time being, it was impossible to determine the specific nature of the formation. They only knew that it was a formation with a camouflage effect and a hidden offensive power. If it weren't for Wang Sheng's careful guidance, perhaps none of the experts present would have thought that there would be a formation here. It originally had a camouflage effect and was well hidden. Once it was triggered, ordinary experts would probably die immediately. This meant that they were all experts, and the two weakest were in the 8th-stage realm. Moreover, they had received Wang Sheng's guidance beforehand. Otherwise, they would either not discover it or be attacked. Perhaps they wouldn't die, but there was an 80% chance that they would be seriously injured or disabled. It wasn't difficult for everyone present to break this formation by force. However, everyone knew that the array in the grounds of Thousand Despair was interconnected. If one formation was broken, who knew what would happen to the other arrays? No one dared to take the risk. It was easy to discover the formation as long as they walked around it. The experts from the Sure clan and Gan clan noted down the location of the formation and compared it with the location on the map. One formation wasn't able to pinpoint the exact location. At least 3 were needed. Wang Sheng was aware of this, so he led everyone in another direction. 2 days later, the second formation was discovered. 4 days later, the third formation was discovered. 6 days later, the fourth formation was discovered. On the 8th day, the fifth formation was discovered. Wang Sheng felt that the Sure clan and Gan clan could compare the 5 formations on the map. Wang Sheng might as well bring everyone back to the campsite to rest and replenish their supplies. Without confirming the relative location, entering the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair would be courting death. The Gan clan and Sure clan understood this point, so they weren't annoyed that Wang Sheng had spent more than 10 days outside. Instead, the few of them carefully identified the direction together. After careful calculations, the 2 clans had completely matched the 5 formations on the Peerless Treasure map to the 5 circles. Basically, by this time, the 2 clans had completely realized that Wang Sheng hadn't lied. The corresponding location on the Peerless Treasure map was really in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair. The reason why Wang Sheng had brought the 2 clans back to the campsite was to let the 2 clans who were already in the campsite pass this news back to them, so that they wouldn't think that he was fooling them. Of course, Wang Sheng was still fooling them. However, apart from Wang Sheng, who else would know? After resting and replenishing their supplies in the campsite for a day, Wang Sheng and the 2 clans once again set out on their journey. However, this time, Wang Sheng planned to bring them directly into the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair instead of wandering around outside. This is the entrance we chose when we first entered the grounds of Thousand Despair. Wang Sheng pointed at a spot in the forest in front of them that was clearly left behind by someone on a tree trunk. He introduced it to everyone. This time, we'll enter from here. You guys can keep the markings you need. As for the marks on the map, I'm not responsible for these. With that, Wang Sheng took the lead and entered the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair. Chapter 649. Wang Sheng didn't care how the two families left marks. Wang Sheng just led the way. They walked through the forest easily and soon reached the edge of the world of ice and snow. One end of the rope left behind last time was still tied to the big tree at the edge of the forest, while the other end had been frozen in the ice. Seeing this situation, the two families were more relieved. This was obviously the old road, and they didn't take a detour. After changing clothes, Wang Sheng tied a long rope and took the lead to slide down. The experts behind them slid down one by one. If the rope can't be used when you come back, use your weapon to help you climb up. Wang Sheng simply warned, no matter how good the weapon is, it's not as important as your life. Don't be reluctant. Some people think that their weapons are precious and can't bear to touch them. Sometimes they will make some stupid mistakes. Hearing what Wang Sheng said, a few of them were slightly moved, but they didn't say anything. It was still a thick gauze covering the face, including the eyes, and the mouth and nose could be wrapped with a few more layers to keep them warm. When Wang Sheng told them that this was the way to prevent snow blindness, even though Wang Sheng had said that the method was very simple, the two families couldn't help but feel pain for the huge price they had to pay in the capital. If they knew it was so simple, why bother to buy it from Wang Sheng? But then again, if it wasn't from Wang Sheng, they really couldn't buy this method. Wang Sheng's goggles were not something that anyone could make just by looking at them. Thus, the two families could only swallow this loss in silence. Anyway, when dealing with Wang Sheng, remember that he was greedy for money. After changing to Mei-er, it was even worse. As they continued to move forward, the road was not as peaceful as in the forest. In particular, Wang Sheng strictly forbade them to expose the aura of the peak of the legendary realm, so their strength would inevitably be suppressed. Occasionally, they would meet a few big demonic beasts, which was very troublesome to deal with. Luckily, the two families had a tacit understanding, and it wasn't like the first time where everyone had their own thoughts, nor did they have any thoughts of being lazy to preserve their strength. Some 8th or 9th stage realm initial stage demonic beasts really couldn't match up to the combined attacks of 12 people. 5 days later, Wang Sheng brought everyone to a place 5 miles away from the location of the first demonic beast and told them the location. The reason for this was that the two families wanted to mark the direction on the map so that they could confirm that they did not go the wrong way. One had to know that Wang Sheng was not around when they went back. Even if they left a mark, it was still possible for them to rely on the map to find their way back. In order to avoid alerting the demonic beast experts, Wang Sheng and the others only stayed 5 miles away from where they were and continued on their way. However, the Shi clan and the Gan clan were able to confirm one of the 4 circular formations that Wang Sheng had mentioned by comparing the directions they had traveled with the map. Should we make a trip to all the 4 formations that I know of, or just pass by the next one and directly head towards the location of the hidden treasure? Wang Sheng did not forget to ask the team leaders of the two families as they trekked on the snowy ground again. If we need to pass by the next one, we'll just look at that one. The two of them had a simple discussion and declined Wang Sheng's kind intention of bringing them to look at the 4 formations. The positions of the previous formations matched perfectly with the circular marks on the Peerless Treasure map. This had already proved that what Wang Sheng had said was the truth, and there were no empty words. As long as they passed by all the formations along the way, it didn't matter if there were a few less formations to verify. Along the way, when Wang Sheng pointed to a direction from afar and said that there was a demonic beast expert 5 miles away from the formation, there were already some injured people in the team. It couldn't be helped. The demonic beasts in the land of Thousand Despair were too fierce. Even if the team was made up of experts of a legendary realm, it was impossible to defend against those demonic beasts that were extremely good at hiding under the snow and ice. In addition, Wang Sheng was a little bit lazy, so it was inevitable that he would be injured. The only thing that could be said was that the two injured people were only lightly injured, and both of them were insignificant places like the arms and shoulders, so there was no problem for them to keep up with the team. At least 90% of their combat strength was retained. However, Wang Sheng did not let the Shi clan and the Gan clan enjoy the ice house, so everyone could only rest in the simple and crude double-layered tents. Although the double-layered tents were made of white high-level demonic beast skin, which could effectively isolate the wind, snow, and smell, but they couldn't light a fire, so they could only rely on their own spiritual energy to activate the warm formation in the clothes, which was constantly being consumed along the way. It was already the 6th day when they arrived here. Walking through the snow and ice was not as easy as walking through the forest, and it was extremely exhausting. Under the circumstances of ensuring their safety, they could only walk more than 20 miles a day, and 30 miles was the limit. Another area with a magic array was confirmed. This time, in order to ensure that the location was good, the two clans specially sent an expert to sneak in and see the demonic beast expert with their own eyes. Otherwise, if Wang Sheng just pointed in a direction and said that there was a demonic beast expert 5 miles away, and it just happened to be the same as the one on the map, the two clans wouldn't dare to completely trust him. After moving a little farther away, Wang Sheng found a leeward place and began to set up camp to rest. Everyone had a separate tent, and the style was exactly the same. This was urgently made by Wang Sheng before they set off, and it was tough enough to withstand the wind and snow. Everyone stayed in their own tent to rest, and there was someone specially in charge of guarding, but Wang Sheng didn't need to be arranged because he was the guide, and every time he walked in the front, his physical energy consumption was the highest. Another reason was that even if Wang Sheng was willing to stand guard, the two clans might not dare to trust him. It was fine for the first 1 or 2 days, but in the following days, as long as it was time to rest, everyone wanted to immediately fall asleep from exhaustion. In this kind of situation, if someone really had bad intentions, it was too easy to deal with these people who were about to collapse from exhaustion, so it was still better for the two clans to send their own people to stand guard. Wang Sheng's tent was in the middle of the two clans, and it could be considered as a dividing line. Sitting in his own tent, Wang Sheng began to leisurely prepare to rest. Unlike the pitiful Shi clan and Gan clan experts who could only eat cold rations and drink cold water, or even ice water with their cultivation, Wang Sheng could drink warm water, eat warm rations, and sleep in a warm bed. It was a very simple little trick. At least 2 of Wang Sheng's storage rings were filled with quicklime. There was a special thing that was similar to a hot water bag, and Wang Sheng only needed to put some ice and snow in it, and then put some quicklime powder in it, and drip a little water. When calcium oxide meets water, it will form calcium hydroxide, which will release a large amount of heat, melt the ice and snow, and turn the hot water bag into a hot water bag. Relying on this hot water bag, Wang Sheng could use hot water to heat dry rations and also warm bed. But those experts from the two clans, which one of them could think of such a simple trick? Since they couldn't start a fire, they could only resist. Chapter 650. Every day, as long as Wang Sheng poured out the contents of the hot water bag when it cooled down and put them into a random storage ring, he would find a time to pee the next day and pour them out. Who would be able to see anything unusual? As for using spiritual energy to monitor, it was even more of a joke. In this area, everyone wished they could restrain all their spiritual energy for fear of being discovered by the demonic beasts. When they were sleeping in tents, who would dare to use their spiritual energy to probe around? That would really be asking for death if they slept too soundly. The second demonic beast expert's array was once again confirmed and matched perfectly with the Peerless Treasure Map. Basically, at this point, everyone already believed what Wang Sheng said was already 90%. The only thing that they didn't believe was the location of the array that had yet to be discovered but had already been marked on the Peerless Treasure Map. 2 days later, Wang Sheng pointed at an iceberg and said to everyone, "In that iceberg, there should be a demonic beast expert who hasn't been awakened yet." The expert in charge of identifying and marking the area didn't say anything else. He immediately matched the area to a certain circle on the treasure map and carefully marked it. He said it's a demonic beast expert, so it's inside. It had to be said that there were always people who would disagree at any time, and it was the same in the core area of the Land of a Thousand Despair. Yes, Wang Sheng nodded without hesitation and said, "If I say it is, then it is." Why? This expert from Sher Clan had already suffered a lot along the way. As a dignified legendary realm expert, there were always people to serve him whenever he went out, but he actually suffered so much here. Feeling depressed, they also felt that Wang Sheng was doing nothing but leading the way, yet he was receiving such a high reward. Yet they were the ones doing all the hard work. Feeling that it was unfair in their hearts, they used this opportunity to vent it out. "There is no reason." Wang Sheng smiled and said, "It's up to you to believe it or not." This time, Wang Sheng felt like he had poked a hornet's nest, and at least 4 experts from the 2 clans jumped out to express their dissatisfaction. Putting aside the hardships they had suffered along the way, Wang Sheng had managed to swindle at least 100,000 gold coins from each of their clans with a piece of thick gauze. Yet, he was still pointing fingers at them without even giving them an explanation. How could they tolerate this? Fortunately, the leaders of the 2 clans were smart enough to know that Wang Sheng's presence and Wang Sheng's absence were 2 completely different situations. Not to mention other things, the attacks of the demonic beasts were at least 10 times stronger. Wang Sheng was just working in a place where they couldn't see, so he didn't show it. Therefore, they immediately persuaded their respective team members. However, it was easy to persuade them not to make a move, but it was difficult to convince them to accept Wang Sheng wholeheartedly. The 2 leaders turned to Wang Sheng's side and discussed with him in a low voice. "Marquis, do you think you should give them some pointers? Otherwise, they won't be able to feel confident." "You want?" Wang sneered and said, "Wang for you. Why don't we just go and take a look?" The 2 leaders were stunned. Not only them, Wang Sheng's voice wasn't low, so everyone heard it. The experts who were angry were also stunned. Yes, such a simple solution. Was there need to ask? Wouldn't they know if they just went and took a look? "Let me say this first, I'm not going." Wang Sheng sneered and pointed to the iceberg. "Those who don't believe can go and see for themselves. It's only 5 miles away, not far. If you can't see anything, as long as you have the ability to control the area where your aura is released and only target that iceberg, you will know the result immediately." After saying that, Wang Sheng didn't leave. He found a comfortable place, flattened the ice and snow, put on 3 layers of thick leather cushions, and sat there looking at the dissatisfied people. What should they do now? They sat on the wax. Should they fight with Wang Sheng? There was no need, and it was even more meaningless. Wang Sheng was no match for them, but Wang Sheng had the means to perish together, so they didn't dare to make a move. However, just looking at the iceberg and saying that it was the area of the formation, wasn't this a little too casual? The 2 leaders looked at the 2 people in charge of marking the map and asked briefly. The location of the 2 icebergs coincided with the circle on the Peerless treasure map. In theory, it should be the place where the formation was located and also the place where the demonic beast experts were. However, without seeing it with their own eyes, no one dared to confirm it, except for Wang Sheng. If they wanted to verify it, it seemed that they could only follow Wang Sheng's method and go and take a look. The 2 leaders had no choice but to discuss with the experts who were not convinced and let them go and take a look for themselves. Just as Wang Sheng said, it was only 5 miles away. If they were careful, it wouldn't take long to go back and forth. But to be completely sure that there were really demonic beast experts there, and whether there was a formation, a little risk was worth it. The 4 experts glanced at Wang Sheng with dissatisfaction and began to carefully walk towards the iceberg. Wang Sheng and the rest of the people just watched from afar. The 2 leaders were very worried, but Wang Sheng was not the slightest bit afraid, as if he had a card up his sleeve. Seeing that the 4 of them had already turned into 4 white dots and could no longer be seen, The two leaders walked over to Wang Sheng's side and asked carefully, "Marquis, do you think they will be all right?" Since they wanted to consult Wang Sheng, even the way they addressed him became respectful. Basically, it's not a big problem. Wang Sheng was very satisfied with this way of addressing him. He smiled slightly and pointed out the unbearable guesses in the hearts of the two families. "It's just a delay. It's good to verify it, lest you think that I randomly pointed to a place and said it was the place." The two leaders were a little embarrassed, but as Wang Sheng said, it was good to verify it, lest there was a problem. It was better to be safe than sorry. That was what they were thinking, including the few experts who had not vented their anger. In fact, they all had the same thought, but they were too shrewd to express it. The four experts had already reached the foot of the iceberg, but what could they see from the iceberg? They had no way to sense that there was a hollow under the iceberg like Wang Sheng could, and could only rely on looking. The problem was that it was all covered in ice and snow, and nothing could be seen. "Be careful. There is a formation fluctuation." A sure family expert took the formation stone prepared by his family, and very close to the iceberg, he finally found some slight formation fluctuations. The fluctuations were very subtle, and if they were not so close, they would not be able to detect it. If there was a formation, it meant that what Wang Sheng said was right. But the four people were a little embarrassed. If they went back with their tails between their legs, wouldn't they be laughed at by Wang Sheng? A junior whose cultivation was lower than theirs, and who was younger than them, would lose face in front of him? The demonic beast is inside the iceberg? Let me see. A Gan family expert said in disbelief. He walked forward, hesitated for a moment, and asked, "If I remove the snow from the iceberg, will I trigger the formation?" "Probably not." The sure family expert shook his head and replied, "The formation fluctuations are so weak, it means that there is still some distance." The Gan family expert nodded, and he had an idea. He reached out to touch the iceberg and began to wipe the ice and snow. At this moment, something strange happened. Chapter 651. The iceberg in front of them suddenly began to shake, emitting a rumbling sound. The four experts were shocked. What was going on? While they were in shock, an incomparably violent aura suddenly came from the iceberg, followed by an earth-shattering roar. Roar! The huge iceberg trembled from the inside to the outside. Countless sounds of water could be heard, and the iceberg flashed with a red light. A series of cracking sounds came from the inside, and countless cracks appeared on the iceberg outside. In the blink of an eye, the iceberg in front of them turned into countless fragments. All the fragments seemed to have been thrown into a fire, melting, dripping down, turning into a trickle, and flowing into the ground. When the violent aura appeared, the four experts from the Gan and Sure clan were already dumbfounded. Their minds were completely taken advantage of by the incomparably violent aura, and their minds were buzzing. The oppressive aura instantly suppressed their minds, and they looked at everything in a daze, completely at a loss as to what to do. They had just reached this realm not too long ago, and had yet to familiarize themselves with the control. When they were suppressed by this kind of mental attack, they forgot to resist instinctively. That was why they did not release their own aura and did not provoke a greater disaster. But this was enough. The four experts stood in front of the melted iceberg for a long time, and then slowly came back to their senses. Looking at the humanoid, demonic beast that seemed to be floating in the air not far away, the four of them were scared out of their wits, and they hurriedly crawled back. The demonic beast was trapped in the formation, unable to chase after them, but it let out another cold snort, and the bodies of the four who were running away shook violently, and they staggered and fell on the snowy ground a dozen times. Perhaps the power of the cold snort was over, or perhaps the coldness of the world of ice and snow made them sober. But in any case, they frantically ran away, and after running a certain distance, they were no longer affected. When a violent aura erupted, the eyes of the two leaders from the Gan and Sure clan turned red, and they almost rushed over anxiously. A total of 12 experts came in, and 2 of them were going to follow Wang Sheng back. If they lost 4, wouldn't the 2 clans die of heartache? "Don't move." Wang Sheng stopped the 2 leaders in time. Do you want to go there and make more demon beasts go berserk? His words made the two leaders calm down. They anxiously looked in that direction, feeling anxious and uneasy. From time to time, he would look at Wang Sheng as if he wanted to ask something. However, he would always hesitate and swallow the words that were on the tip of his tongue. Don't worry, they'll be fine. Wang Sheng looked at the two leaders and sneered in his heart. He comforted them. They are smart. They haven't released their auras yet. Let's wait for a while. They will come back on their own. Wang Sheng's words finally gave the two families who had been waiting anxiously a little more confidence, and they were no longer so anxious. However, when they heard the cold snort of the demonic beast expert, even though they were 5 li away, everyone could still feel their hearts palpitating. One could imagine how terrifying it was at such a close distance. After waiting for about half an hour, the 4 experts finally stumbled back to this side. Seeing the 4 figures in the distance, 4 people immediately rushed out and brought them back. Wang Sheng. On the way back, the 4 experts had gradually recovered. When they got back, one of the Sure family experts immediately shouted at Wang Sheng, "Why didn't you remind us not to touch that iceberg?" The 4 were exasperated. If it weren't for Wang Sheng's reminder, how could they have made such a mistake? How could it have made the demon beast go berserk? How could it have awakened a demon beast expert? All of this should be blamed on Wang Sheng. You didn't remind me? Wang Sheng's face was full of disdain. He sneered at the 4 experts who were looking at him angrily. Even if I did remind you, you still had to believe me? I didn't remind you on purpose. Why? Because I'll be fine if I touch it myself. Why the F*** should I remind you? All of this was because these people didn't believe in Wang Sheng. Therefore, it wasn't that Wang Sheng didn't remind them, but that these people didn't believe him. You guys are smart. You didn't release your aura. Wang Sheng continued with a sneer. Otherwise, there would be at least 4 more monster beast experts sealed in ice within a radius of 50 kilometers. Add to that the few that have already passed by. Do you want to experience the feeling of having so many monster beast experts unleashing their auras at the same time? The group of people was angry and anxious. Not only were they ridiculed by Wang Sheng, they actually couldn't refute him. This was the most uncomfortable feeling. To put it bluntly, the reason why they were so uncomfortable was that they thought they didn't believe in Wang Sheng. Who could they blame? But then again, the 4 of you are really King lucky. Wang Sheng had had his fill of provocation. He continued with a sneer, "If you don't want to be scared for nothing, then remember that feeling. When you go back and cultivate, think about the difference between you so-called top-notch experts and him. You might even have a chance to improve your cultivation." Hearing Wang Sheng ridiculing them for being lucky, the 4 experts were about to attack, but suddenly heard Wang Sheng's words, and the 4 of them could no longer be angry at Wang Sheng. What Wang Sheng said was too reasonable. Such a good opportunity for the 4 of them to feel the aura of a top expert at close range was really beneficial to their cultivation. Originally, he thought that in such a short period of time, he had advanced by leaps and bounds from the 7th stage to the peak of the legendary realm. Now, he suddenly discovered that this peak of the legendary realm was simply a joke. Just as Wang Sheng had said, there was a need to add a so-called attribute to it. For a moment, everyone was silent. Even those who didn't feel the violent aura at close range were deep in thought, desperately trying to recall the feeling just now. Even if they didn't feel it at close range, but after all, they were in the core of the place of thousand despair. More or less, they would be able to get a rare experience when they went back to cultivate. Now do you know why the previous few experts were stepping on ice as smooth as a mirror? Wang Sheng waited for a while, and while everyone was deep in thought, Wang Sheng opened his mouth and asked. This question was simply too simple, especially for the 4 experts just now. The reason why it was as smooth as a mirror was because when these experts were awakened, they melted the iceberg, forming a small lake below, and then froze again, naturally maintaining the smoothness of the water surface. Have you recovered? Wang Sheng's question pulled everyone's thoughts back to reality. When everyone raised their heads to look at Wang Sheng, Wang Sheng pointed to the front. The aura of that expert will definitely cause the beasts inside to go berserk. If you don't want to die, quickly leave this area. Chapter 652. After that, the experts of the two clans became much more well-behaved. Although everyone was still very dissatisfied with Wang Sheng, the world was big, and reason was the most important. Since what Wang Sheng said was right, they had no excuse to flare up and could only obediently follow him. If they were to be scolded, they could only blame themselves for not having eyes. Because Wang Sheng had already said that he wouldn't beat up those who were diligent or lazy, only those who didn't have eyes. No one wanted to be the next one who didn't have eyes. Since they didn't have the ability to be a guide in the grounds of Thousand Despair, they could only obediently follow the experienced Wang Sheng without any objections. The awakening of the demonic beasts directly affected the demonic beasts in the surrounding area. Everyone could clearly feel that the demonic beasts were much more aggressive. Fortunately, they didn't walk too slowly. Along the way, they only killed 2 demonic beasts that suddenly appeared. One of the team members was lightly injured, but it didn't affect their movement. Everyone safely walked out of the area affected by the demonic beasts. After 2 days, when the person in charge of marking the map realized that something was wrong, Wang Sheng had already led everyone to the foot of an ice mountain. Wang Sheng here. The Gan clan's expert in charge of marking the map shouted at Wang Sheng, but he saw Wang Sheng's sharp gaze and hurriedly shut up. Stand in your positions, don't move, or make any noise. Wang Sheng shouted at everyone. Everyone was puzzled by this shout. Wang Sheng told the Gan clan's expert to shut up, but he himself shouted. What kind of logic was this? The reason I brought you here is to tell you one thing, Yi Zichen said. Wang Sheng ignored everyone's astonished gazes and shouted at everyone. In the core area of the grounds of Thousand Despair, there are some things that I can do, but you can't. Don't be unconvinced and don't doubt me. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. Wang Sheng didn't even pause for a moment as he reprimanded the group of people with higher cultivation than him. If you don't believe me, you can try. I can shout here, and you can shout and see what serious consequences there will be. No one dared to shout. The experience of the 4 masters awakening the Berserk Master was still fresh in their minds. How could they dare to casually challenge Wang Sheng's ban? You noticed, didn't you? Wang Sheng suppressed everyone's imposing manner before turning to the Gan family expert who had just spoken. The expert did not dare to open his mouth and only nodded. He had just realized that Wang Sheng had brought everyone to a place marked as a circle on the map, which was extremely close to the formation. If his previous experience was correct, then it meant that the iceberg behind Wang Sheng also had a terrifying demonic beast expert sealed in it. What was Wang Sheng trying to do? This was something he could not understand. However, Wang Sheng's words just now allowed him to vaguely guess Wang Sheng's purpose. At this time, he could only nod and say nothing else. I know you guys are not convinced. Even if I tell you face to face, you guys also think that it's not true. Wang Sheng's gaze swept across everyone's faces, and his contemptuous gaze made everyone extremely annoyed. However, Wang Sheng did not care and said, I'll let you guys see it with your own eyes, unless you guys are not convinced in your hearts. Do you see the iceberg behind me? When Wang Sheng mentioned the iceberg, everyone's expression became uneasy. At this time, everyone remembered that Wang Sheng had previously said that there was a demonic beast expert sealed in the iceberg. Indeed, there was a demonic beast expert sealed in the iceberg. What about the iceberg now? I'm not afraid to tell you guys the truth. There's also a demonic beast expert sealed in here. Wang Sheng's voice was so loud that everyone could hear it. However, no one dared to reprimand Wang Sheng loudly and ask him to lower his voice. Everyone could only be careful, afraid that Wang Sheng's voice would wake up the terrifying demonic beast expert inside. In addition, I'll repeat it again, I'll tell you guys again. Wang Sheng really wanted to take this opportunity to teach them a little lesson, lest they feel that he was easy to bully. There are some things that I can do, but you guys can't. With that said, Wang Sheng took a step back, and his entire back leaned against the iceberg. Everyone was nervous, and they had already cursed Wang Sheng to death in their hearts. They hurriedly raised their vigilance and prepared to deal with the demonic beast's violent aura. However, everyone waited for a long time, but nothing happened. How is this possible? Everyone looked at Wang Sheng, completely unable to understand. Wang Sheng did not explain to everyone. He merely turned around and wiped away all the snow and ice on the iceberg, revealing the transparent ice inside. Some places did not look smooth enough. Wang Sheng took out an ice pick from some storage ring and began to dig at the iceberg. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of the ice pick digging at the ice was like a war drum beating in everyone's heart, causing them to be extremely nervous, afraid that there would be a big change in the next moment. Unfortunately, there was none. Wang Sheng flattened the entire ice surface, and nothing happened. It was very calm. Wang Sheng wiped the ice surface, and only then did he step aside. Open your dog eyes and take a closer look. Is there the shadow of a powerful being inside? Wang Sheng stepped aside, revealing a flat ice window. Through this small area, everyone could see that there was indeed a faintly discernible humanoid shadow inside the iceberg. If you're not convinced, you can come up and take a look. Wang Sheng completely released his aura and provoked the group of powerful beings. Either release your aura and do what I did, or come up and touch it yourself. Wang Sheng did indeed release his aura, causing everyone to feel nervous, but nothing happened. Everyone let out a long sigh of relief, and their eyes were extremely complicated as they looked at Wang Sheng. For a long time, no one dared to step forward and touch the iceberg, and no one dared to release their aura. Everyone just stood there motionlessly, breathing very softly, afraid that the terrifying, powerful being inside would be awakened. This time, you guys are lucky. Your two families specially paid a lot of gold coins and asked me to be more tolerant when I was leading the way. Wang Sheng loudly reprimanded the group of speechless, powerful beings. For the sake of the gold coins, I explained your doubts last time. However, there will never be such an opportunity in the future. I guarantee that anyone who doubts will die. If you don't believe me, you can try. Of course, it's up to you whether you believe me or not. There were still people who didn't believe him. The group of people, especially the four who had doubted him at the beginning, had cold sweat all over their backs. Fortunately, their families were thoughtful. Otherwise, based on what they had heard about Wang Sheng's style, he would really use the lives of those who doubted him to prove that he was right. As they continued forward, Wang Sheng didn't explain anything and only gave orders. Whether the two families wanted to carry out his orders or not was up to them. Again, it was up to them whether they believed him or not. However, under such circumstances, everyone was as obedient as a baby, and not a single one of them dared to challenge him. After suppressing these guys, Wang Sheng led the group for another 3 days and passed through another array. Just as they crossed a line that didn't exist, their vision suddenly blurred. You're here. The beautiful eyes of the girl in his dream appeared in front of Wang Sheng again. Chapter 653. Wang Sheng's body trembled, and he almost felt his knees on the snowy ground. Ever since Wang Sheng saw the hallucination when he first parachuted into this world and heard the girl in his dreams say, "Kill me," Wang Sheng had never heard from the girl in his dreams again. Other than seeing the girl's beautiful eyes in his dreams or memories, there was no other possibility. But now, Wang Sheng saw the hallucination again and heard the voice of the girl in his dreams. "You're here." It was still the same 3 words, and he could still only see the beautiful eyes of the girl in his dreams. But Wang Sheng could feel the joy from the bottom of the girl's heart. Wang Sheng's eyes reddened in an instant. Even though Wang Sheng could kill without batting an eyelid, never lowering his head, no matter what kind of hardship he encountered, when he heard those 3 words and saw the eyes of the girl in his dreams again, Wang Sheng nearly lost his composure. How many years has it been? Wang Sheng had been searching for the whereabouts of the girl in his dreams for so many years after arriving in this world. After learning about the phoenix from Song Yin and the secret of the formation of the land of thousand extremes from old Taoist Ling Su, Wang Sheng had been speculating whether the girl in his dreams was related to the Lin family's #1 expert from 500 years ago, and whether it was related to the land of thousand extremes. So all these years, Wang Sheng had been pushing the major families to enter the land of thousand extremes and develop it, all for the sake of finding out the answer. Now, when Wang Sheng crossed a certain line in the core area of the land of thousand extremes and entered a more central area, Wang Sheng finally heard the call of the girl in his dreams and saw the eyes of the girl in his dreams. Everything that Wang Sheng had done all these years and all the hard work he had put in, Wang Sheng felt that it was all worth it at this moment. He was not looking in the wrong direction. He had finally touched the edge of the girl in his dreams. The appearance of the girl in the dream only lasted for a moment. Although Wang Sheng's movements were a little hesitant, everyone thought that Wang Sheng was walking too fast and almost lost his balance. There was nothing abnormal about it. Of course, even if they realized that something was wrong with Wang Sheng, they didn't dare to ask. Wang Sheng had already made it clear to them last time. If they dared to question him again, they would die. It was up to them whether they believed it or not. It was up to them whether they wanted to believe it or not. However, after combining the facts and the rumors they had heard about Wang Sheng in the past, they were afraid that Wang Sheng would really do it. Although no one knew how Wang Sheng had managed to kill someone in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair, no one would jump out and use their own lives to prove it to their companions. According to Wang Sheng's estimation, they were now within 100 miles of the core region of the lands of Thousand Despair. The Peerless Treasure was also in this area, but Wang Sheng could see from the Peerless Treasure formation map that the location of the Peerless Treasure was not in the center of the grounds of Thousand Despair, but at the edge, another 20 miles or so in front of them. They would almost reach the place where the treasure was recorded on the Peerless Treasure formation map. Along the way, except for Wang Sheng, almost all of the 12 experts were injured. Although they were only minor injuries, it was an indisputable fact that they were injured. All of this, 90% of the credit belonged to Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng led everyone to avoid at least 80% of the demonic beasts. Even if they couldn't avoid the demonic beasts, Wang Sheng warned them in advance about 60% of the sudden attacks. These injuries were caused by mistakes when Wang Sheng didn't warn them in time. Overall, everything was going smoothly. Even if there were doubts and disbelief along the way, everyone was still alive, and they were less than 20 miles away from the treasure. Even the pickiest leader couldn't find any flaws in this trip. To be able to suppress everyone's aura and make it all the way here was simply a miracle. The two leaders understood very well that if it wasn't for Wang Sheng, even if they all died inside, they wouldn't be able to make it here. It could be said that Wang Sheng played a big part in being able to make it here. If Wang Sheng was a member of the two families, he could stay and participate in the excavation of the Peerless Treasure. In this way, the two families would have a greater chance of success. Unfortunately, Wang Sheng wasn't. He would only lead everyone to the place and then leave. When they were about 10 miles away, the sky was almost dark. Wang Sheng led everyone to set up camp and rest. It had been almost half a month since they came in. Except for Wang Sheng, everyone was exhausted. The huge consumption along the way made everyone want to fall asleep immediately. Unfortunately, they couldn't. Following Wang Sheng's suggestion, the 12 of them were split into two groups. One group would rest while the other group would have to work a little harder, helping the resting people to bear the burden of the consumption of spiritual energy. They would also operate the magic arrays within the tents to keep the tents warm. Once the first group had rested enough, the next group would take a break. This way, everyone could get sufficient rest, but it would take at least a day and a night or even longer. However, in order to be able to maintain enough energy to reach the location of the Peerless Treasure, this day and night sacrifice was worth it. When they arrived at the place, they could check the safety and set up a long-term camp. At that time, they wouldn't have to travel every day and could take turns to rest. What they were afraid of was that there would be a terrible massacre. This was also one of the reasons why everyone was conserving their energy. Wang Sheng didn't object to this, and even suggested taking turns to rest. Wang Sheng also wished he could stay in this core area for a day or two and carefully sense the direction of the girl in his dream. Unfortunately, ever since she suddenly appeared and said, "You're here," Wang Sheng didn't feel any movement from the girl in his dream. The only explanation was that the girl in his dream didn't have enough energy to maintain communication with him. After carefully sensing in all directions, Wang Sheng didn't feel any movement from the girl in his dream. Wang Sheng could only secretly swear that the next time he came, he would definitely walk around the core area. Everyone finally had enough rest. Wang Sheng led everyone to finish the last 10 miles. The peerless treasure was in front of them. The Gan and Shir clan were very excited. 10 miles would normally take half a day to walk, but today it only took 3 hours. Here, when Wang Sheng announced that they had arrived at the place where the peerless treasure was hidden, everyone felt a sense of disbelief. This was a flat plain covered with snow and ice. How could it be a place to hide treasures? Where was the peerless treasure? It's below. Wang Sheng was speechless as he pointed at his feet. There was snow everywhere. So how could it be a treasure? The only possibility was that it was under a thick layer of ice. Don't tell me you didn't expect this. The two leaders were a little embarrassed. Of course, they had expected this, but weren't they a little disappointed when they saw this? "We've reached the place. I should go back." Wang Sheng didn't care what they were going to do and said, "Who's coming with me?" "Wait a moment." A shout rang out. Chapter 654. Is there anything else I can do for you? Wang Sheng turned to the speaker and looked at the expert from the Shir clan who had doubted him before. The person who had spoken up simply didn't want Wang Sheng to leave right away. From what they had experienced in the past few days, the presence of Wang Sheng and the absence of Wang Sheng were two completely different matters in the core area of the Land of Thousand Despair. Although the agreement between the two parties was that Wang Sheng could leave once they reached the place, if they could make Wang Sheng stay, there might be more benefits, right? No one stood up to stop him. Everyone knew that if this person could make Wang Sheng stay, wouldn't that be great? "We can't be sure if we've really reached the place yet." The person from the Shir clan, whose name even Wang Sheng didn't want to know, argued irrationally. "According to the mark on your treasure map, we've arrived," Wang Sheng retorted. "But you drew half of the treasure map," the expert from the Shir clan retorted. In other words, he didn't believe that Wang Sheng's map was correct. "The mark of the treasure is on the Gan clan's half of the map." Wang Sheng turned to the leader of the Gan clan and asked loudly, "Did the Gan clan bring out a fake map?" This was related to the foundation of their cooperation. How could the Gan clan take the blame? The leader quickly denied. "That's impossible. The Gan clan has the original map." "Is there anything wrong with the drawing I drew for you?" Wang Sheng turned to the expert from the Shir clan who was responsible for marking the map and asked, "How many formations along the way are on this map?" "Didn't match? How is that possible?" The expert sighed and said, "All the formations along the way." Wang Sheng turned to the expert from the Shir clan and said, "What else do you have to say?" The expert from the Shir clan glared at the expert from the Shir clan. He didn't even know how to speak up for his own people. Was he an idiot? There's no need to look. Experts who can cultivate to this realm are not the kind of people who don't even have this little bit of responsibility. Wang Sheng sneered. "Just say what you want to do. There's no need to beat around the bush. People will look down on you." His words made many people feel comfortable in their hearts, but at the same time, many people secretly resented him. They had consciously put themselves in the shoes of the kind of people that Wang Sheng looked down on and beat around the bush. "You stay here, and you're not allowed to leave." This time, the expert from the aristocratic family didn't beat around the bush and directly ordered. "The other kind of people I hate the most are treacherous people." Wang Sheng sneered again and said, "I'll leave when we get there. This is what we agreed before we left." "You're good. I'm good. Everyone is good. Don't force me." "So what if I force you?" The Shir clan's expert sneered. "You want to rely on that ridiculous avalanche to release those demon beast experts?" As soon as this guy said that, the gazes of the others changed. They were all waiting to see what he would say. The reason why everyone was afraid of Wang Sheng was because they were afraid that he would die together with them. I've lived on a snowy mountain for a while. It's true that it's easy to cause avalanches on a snowy mountain. The Sher clan expert looked at Wang Sheng like a leopard looking at a mouse. His expression was full of mockery. But this is not a snowy mountain. It's a flat plain. How did you make an avalanche? Previously, everyone was afraid of Wang Sheng. Hearing their companion's words, it was like the clouds parting to see the moon. Suddenly, everything became clear. It turned out that everything was just Wang Sheng's bluff. They were just scared by themselves. If that was the case, what was there to be afraid of? What you said makes sense. Wang Sheng didn't get angry, nor did he feel guilty after his lie was exposed. He just smiled and said, "But so what? I still have ways to threaten you." Tampering with the formation? The Sher clan expert sneered again. "Don't forget, I've also been in close contact with that formation. With your cultivation, I'm already overestimating you to be able to get within 6 feet of the formation. You want to mess with the formation? You don't know your place. Are you sure you want to do this?" Wang Sheng was still smiling. He didn't feel guilty and asked calmly, "What can you do if I do this?" The Sher clan expert was now confident of victory. He felt that Wang Sheng had no way to threaten him. He sneered and threatened him. "Have you thought about the consequences?" Wang Sheng asked with interest. "What consequences? Either you stay, or we take you down. Do you have no choice but to stay?" The Sher clan expert didn't care anymore. Since things had already come to this point, was there any leeway to turn things around? "What about you?" Wang Sheng suddenly ignored the fellow. His gaze turned to the 2 leaders from the Sher family and Gan family. "What is the meaning of this? Are you going to force me to stay?" No. The Gan clan leader shook his head. "We don't mean that. But he's not from the Gan clan. We can't control him." To the Gan clan, this was done by the Sher clan, and they were the scapegoats. But if they succeeded, the Gan clan would benefit as well. How great was that? Therefore, they wouldn't admit it, but they wouldn't care either. They would just let things develop. Wang Sheng turned to the Sher clan leader. "He's from the Sher clan." No one was a fool. The Sher clan leader imitated the Gan clan leader and said irresponsibly, "We're just from the same clan. We don't have a subordinate relationship. In terms of seniority, he's older than us. We can't control him." "I'm sorry." "Got it." Wang Sheng nodded. He turned his gaze back to the smug Sher clan expert. "Last chance." Wang Sheng's expression didn't change. He said to the smiling Sher clan expert, "I'll leave with 2 people. The rest of you can do whatever you want." "Ha ha." The Sher clan expert laughed hysterically when he heard Wang Sheng's words. He had never heard such a funny joke. After laughing wildly for a while, he pointed at Wang Sheng and said breathlessly, "This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Ha ha. There are always people in this world who are living well but want to die." Wang Sheng shook his head and sighed. He looked at the Sher clan expert as if he was looking at a dead man. Suddenly, he shouted at everyone, "Either he dies alone or all of you die. Choose one." Not only the Sher clan expert, but even the Gan clan and the Sher clan were stunned when they heard this. What did he mean? A mere 5th or 6th realm junior was threatening them, experts at the peak of the legendary realm? Do you dare to exaggerate a little more? More ruthless. Chapter 655. There was a reason why the Sher clan had always disliked Wang Sheng. It was originally the Sher clan's peerless treasure map, but they had to buy it back from Wang Sheng. If one were to look deeper into this matter, the real reason was the Gan clan. If the Gan clan hadn't sent a death warrior to steal the 4 aspects exquisite seal box, the Sher clan wouldn't be in such an awkward situation. However, the Gan clan was one of the 3 clans that were second only to the 5 great clans. Especially when the Sher clan had the other half of the peerless treasure map, they had to consider cooperating with the Gan clan even if they were dissatisfied. It was still a cooperation, but the Gan clan was a vassal state while Wang Sheng was just one person. Although Wang Sheng had the support of the Temple of Laojun, everyone knew that the Temple of Laojun wouldn't be so loyal to an outsider. It was definitely just a gesture of goodwill, so Wang Sheng was still a commander without an army. Even if Wang Sheng also had the title of ever-victorious Marquis, so what? Could one person really support a vassal state? Under such circumstances, if they didn't bully Wang Sheng, who else could they bully? Even a persimmon knew to pick the soft target. So how could the Shi clan not know who to target? Wang Sheng issued a death threat, and this time, even the Gan clan and Shi clan leaders were at a loss of what to do. Wang Sheng was too mysterious, so mysterious that almost no one knew his trump card. Just like now, Wang Sheng was clearly facing 12 opponents with higher cultivation than him, but he still dared to threaten them like this. Was he bluffing, or was he really confident? Everyone was bewildered and didn't know what to choose. There is only one person who didn't need to be in such a difficult position, and that was the Shi clan expert, because no matter what he chose, he would still die. Therefore, he could only attack. If he didn't capture or kill Wang Sheng, it would be his turn to die. Just now, when Wang Sheng was about to leave, he was already more than 10 meters away from the team. At this moment, the Shi family expert could no longer care about wasting his energy. With a stomp of his feet, he pulled himself out of the snow and fiercely pounced at Wang Sheng. According to normal thinking, an expert at the peak of the 9th stage of the legendary realm, even if they were in the snow, would not dare to say that they could kill Wang Sheng with a swift and violent blow, but they would at least be able to make a 5th or 6th stage of the legendary realm flustered. However, just as everyone thought so, the Shi family's expert suddenly crashed into a wall. A white wall suddenly appeared between Wang Sheng and the others. On the snowy ground where only Wang Sheng had walked, a huge white bear suddenly rose from the snowy ground. Its huge body was tens of feet tall and tens of feet wide, and it stood between Wang Sheng and the warriors of the Shi family. The Shi family expert happened to crash head first into the side of the bear's body. The sudden appearance of the giant bear made everyone dumbfounded. At the same time, it also caught the expert off guard. Fortunately, his cultivation was outstanding, and in an instant he heavily slapped the body of the giant bear. Suddenly, there was a burst of wind above his head. It was the giant bear's huge claws that were already slapping down on his head. Just one of its claws was wider and taller than an ordinary person. Who would dare to let such a huge claw hit? Being in the air, the Shi family expert could only use the force of the slap to retreat rapidly. Even so, his body was still swept by the tip of the giant bear's claws. His white protective clothing, made of the skin of an 8th-stage demonic beast, was easily torn like paper. 2 layers of protective clothing, 1 layer of outerwear, and the other layer of underwear, were all torn by the claws. Even the expert himself could not avoid it completely. A line of blood ran diagonally from his right shoulder to the left side of his groin. That attack just now had opened up an inch-deep blood groove on his body. This is the core region of the grounds of Thousand Despair. The demonic beasts in there are definitely not lower cultivation than all of you. Wang Sheng's voice came from afar into everyone's ears. In the time it took to attack, Wang Sheng had already moved 100 meters away from them. Even if they wanted to launch a sneak attack, they would not be able to catch him. If you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. Wang Sheng's voice wasn't loud, but everyone could hear it clearly. It was as if his voice was right beside their ears. I've just learned this ability while standing here. I can use it on you to test it out. Everyone who heard this voice understood that it was definitely not Wang Sheng shouting loudly, but a unique cultivation method that was related to sound. How many other abilities did Wang Sheng have that they didn't know was no longer important? What was important was that Wang Sheng said, "If you want to die, I'll grant you your wish." If Wang Sheng wanted all of them, it would definitely be a joke. However, Wang Sheng had managed to summon a giant bear beneath their feet without batting an eyelid. This was simply too frightening. Anyone who believed that the giant bear that had been hiding under the snow just happened to stand up at that moment would be a fool. It was obvious that it was being controlled by Wang Sheng. If he could control a giant bear, who could guarantee that he couldn't control a group of them? If he could control such a giant bear, what about the other demonic beasts? Let's talk this out, Lord Ho. The Gan family no longer dared to stand to the side and watch the show, waiting to reap the benefits. The leader hurriedly shouted at Wang Sheng, even calling for Master Ho. "Don't worry, I still need time to summon all the demonic beasts within 100 miles. Wang Sheng's voice was still calm. You still have enough time to set up a defensive formation. Set up a defensive formation? A mere 12 people to deal with all the demonic beasts within 100 miles? Or the demonic beasts in the core region of the grounds of Thousand Despair? This was not the way to joke around. The Sure family leader almost wanted to cry. Damn it. Who would have thought that a junior that they could kill at any time would have such a trump card? If they had known, shouldn't their companion have stopped him when he jumped out? Hadn't they been slapped in the face along the way? Wait, the Sure family leader suddenly thought of a problem. Just now, Wang Sheng had asked them to choose whether to die together or by themselves. But he hadn't made a choice. Lord Ho, we choose him to die alone. We choose him to die alone. The Sure family leader shouted without restraint. Although this seemed very disloyal, it was better for one person to die than for all of them to die, wasn't it? Yes, Lord Ho, we choose him to die alone. Reminded by the Sure family leader, the Gan family leader also shouted. There was such a choice. At this time, they couldn't care about anything else. If Wang Sheng really gathered all the demonic beasts within 100 miles, they wouldn't even have a choice. Not a bad choice. Wang Sheng's voice was still calm, as if he was praising them. Oh, wait for what? Someone didn't care if he was a commander or not, and directly shouted at Wang Sheng. Wait for his head. Wang Sheng was already 150 meters away. He turned around and looked at them calmly. Chapter 656. Wait for their heads. What did that mean? No one who could cultivate to the legendary realm was stupid. Suddenly, someone understood. The giant bear, after standing up and waving its paw, did not attack again. Instead, it took a few steps back and glared at them. What did that mean? It meant that as long as they did not attack first, the monster would not attack. Why was this happening? Obviously, it was controlled by Wang Sheng. But why did he stop? Was he worried that the giant bear would not be able to defeat all of them? Obviously not. Now that that person's head had appeared, a few of them immediately understood. The others, who were slightly slower, also understood after a moment of hesitation. Wang Sheng wanted them to kill their own companions. Wang Sheng did not intend to do it himself, but he wanted them to kill their own companions, the Sure family members, the brothers they had been with day and night. This was so cruel. Obviously, the Sure family expert who had just jumped out had also understood. He had been caught by another expert of the same clan and was anxiously trying to stop his bleeding. But now his companion had slowed down. What did this mean? Without thinking, this expert immediately rushed toward his comrade who was trying to stop his bleeding and sent a palm strike. His companion seemed to be prepared for this. He quickly reached out his palm to meet the expert's. Borrowing the force of this push, the injured expert's figure rapidly flew a few meters back. The snow along the way was stained with blood. After landing on the ground, the injured Sure clan expert was enraged, but the loss of blood made his face pale. Why did he jump out of the way just now? Wasn't it for everyone? At that time, no one came to stop him. Everyone wanted him to do it. If he succeeded, they would sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. If he failed, he would bear the consequences alone. How could there be such a good thing? The main culprit was Wang Sheng. Thinking of this, the injured expert did not know where he got the strength from. Ignoring the blood that was still gushing out of his body, he lifted his body and rushed towards Wang Sheng. When I make my move, you don't have to wait anymore. Wang Sheng's calm voice rang in everyone's ears. Chi, an expert from the Sure clan, no longer dared to gamble and threw a dagger at his comrade. Beside him, the two experts from the Gan family had already rushed forward without a care for anything else. It was better for one person to die than for all of them to die. This was the consensus of everyone. Pong, the injured expert who was charging forward, was completely unguarded against the hidden weapons behind him. The dagger pierced through his protective suit and stabbed into his right leg. The pain made him stagger and fall into the snow. Two experts from the Gan family had already caught up with him. One on each side, they grabbed him and brought him back to where the Sure family was. Then, they loosened their grip, and he fell heavily in front of the Sure family. Just now, They clearly saw that the giant bear had already slowly walked to Wang Sheng's side, and from the snow under Wang Sheng's feet, a very small white fox had just scurried out. The white fox even wagged its tail at the bear in a provocative manner, but the bear did not move at all. This scene made the mouths of the two experts twitch. The fact that the bear did not respond to the provocation could only mean that it was a terrifying fox demon, and its strength could not be weaker than the giant bear. Who knew how many demons were hidden in this vast, snowy plain? If Wang Sheng did not find that person's head soon, everyone would probably die here. Marquis, please forgive our rudeness. The Sure family leader's expression was as ugly as it could be. If he had known this would happen, he would not have allowed this fellow to jump out, even if he was beaten to death. But it was too late to say anything now. He could only think of a way to get a guarantee from Wang Sheng's mouth. If we kill him, how can you guarantee that you will not attack us again? There is no guarantee. Wang Sheng's voice was still calm and emotionless. Before we set off, you gave me a guarantee. What about now? They were the ones who broke the agreement first, so they could not blame anyone else. The Sure family leader was extremely regretful, but he could only bite the bullet and pull out his weapon. He personally walked to his companion, the elder that he had mentioned, and stepped on his body. He wanted to say some words of apology, but nothing came out. He gritted his teeth and slashed down with his sword. He has lost too much blood. He will die even if he can hold on for a while. Another expert from the Sure family saw that the leader had done all this and then walked a little closer. He said helplessly, as if to comfort the leader, "Dying now is also a relief." The leader nodded and calmed himself down. Then he bent over to pick up the head on the ground, and with a swing of his arm, he threw it in the direction of Wang Sheng. The bloody head fell on the snowy ground and immediately smashed into a pile of snow. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Wang Sheng watched all this calmly, and then without saying a word, he turned around and left. What did this mean? The Gan family and Sure family did not know what to do. Everyone held their weapons. Although they thought that they could definitely look down on the world after reaching the peak of the legendary realm at such a young age, they did not feel safe at this moment. I'm not like you. I always mean what I say. Wang Sheng's domineering voice reached everyone's ears. The two of you who want to leave with me can leave with me now. Good luck to you. Everyone was stunned. They thought that Wang Sheng would still fall out with them, and they thought that they might have to pay a price, but they did not expect it to be so simple. In the team, which of the two families would leave with Wang Sheng had actually been decided before they set off. Now, both of them looked at their respective leaders, and the two leaders could only nod and let them leave. Looking at Wang Sheng's back, everyone was deep in thought. Wang Sheng had a very good reputation when it came to transactions. They had never heard of him going back on his word. On the contrary, even though their cultivation was much higher than Wang Sheng's, they still felt ashamed when they faced Wang Sheng. The two of them quickly followed, but they did not dare to have any other thoughts. Following Wang Sheng was the only choice. Otherwise, they could only stay in this snowfield and become the dung of the monsters. There was no other possibility. Wang Sheng was riding on the back of a huge white bear at this moment. He did not need to walk, nor did he need to sink into the snow. It was very easy. The two people following him were very tired. Fortunately, Wang Sheng was controlling the white bear to walk very slowly, so they could barely keep up. Looking at all this, Wang Sheng did not say anything. He just controlled the white bear to walk slowly. He did not know what the relationship between the combat consciousness avatar and the girl in his dreams was, but when he heard the voice of the girl in his dreams again, the combat consciousness avatar could suddenly explore a large range. What was even more incredible was that it seemed that the monsters could also be controlled by the army formula. As for why exactly, Wang Sheng needed to find the answer himself. Chapter 657. Gan and Sure family's two team leaders were still unable to understand Wang Sheng's way of doing things. Even though Wang Sheng had given them a way out and gave them the chance to continue digging out the peerless treasures, they couldn't figure it out, no matter how they thought about it. Why did Wang Sheng just let go of such a good opportunity to monopolize the peerless treasures? If it was them, they would kill him to silence him or something. In actual fact, didn't the top exponent from Sure family have the same intention when he jumped out earlier? He only intended to extract the value from Wang Sheng, and after the peerless treasures were dug out, he would silence him. They were all intelligent people, so who wouldn't be able to tell? But Wang Sheng had let them off so easily. Using Wang Sheng's words, he was a man of his word. Coupled with Wang Sheng's earlier words of despising those who went back on their words, both families felt ashamed. A 5th or 6th Age Realm Jr. had such a magnanimity while they, as top exponents, were acting as villains in vain. Wang Sheng sat on the white bear's back as he had another thought in his mind. Would there be any good things in the peerless treasures? Wang Sheng firmly believed that there would definitely be. Not to mention other things, just based on this place, there would absolutely not be anything bad. Did Wang Sheng want it? Yes. Especially since Sure family and Gone family wanted to scheme against him. Wang Sheng would definitely not let go of the peerless treasures. But no matter how much Wang Sheng wanted it, now wasn't the best time. This was the core region of the grounds of Thousand Extremes, and the peerless treasures were probably buried deep under the thick layer of snow. Just the snow alone was over 100 feet deep, and if there was a treasure cave or something like that, who knew how deep it would be? Even if Wang Sheng killed all the top exponents from both families, then what? Then Wang Sheng would dig it out himself? Don't think that he had found the location marked on the peerless treasures map. But that small circle on the map, if it was in reality, would at least represent a radius of several hundred feet. Wang Sheng had to dig at least 100 feet deep in ice and snow in an area with a radius of several thousand feet, just to find the peerless treasures. That was not a chance for Wang Sheng to make a fortune alone. It was Wang Sheng being sold to the black coal mines. Besides, it was impossible for a peerless treasure to be taken out by one person. How stupid would Wang Sheng have to be to kill so many peak legendary level laborers instead of using them? Let's not talk about whether the 9 of them could find the peerless treasure in a short period of time. Even if they found the treasure in a short period of time, so what? Could they bring it out? It was true that the 2 families had left clear and obvious markings along the way, but the astral winds here were so strong that no one knew how long those markings would last. Whether they could even find their way back was another matter altogether. Even if they took 10,000 steps back, with 2 experts who could recognize the map and accurately mark the way, would they be able to deal with the demonic beasts along the way? It was not that Wang Sheng looked down on them. It was just that they could not get out, and the people outside could not get in either. Therefore, for this reason, Wang Sheng boldly left this place with the 2 people from the Sure family and the Gone family, leaving them to play their part. In front of them was the line where Wang Sheng once again heard the voice of the girl in his dream. Wang Sheng suddenly had a premonition that he could only control this huge white bear here. Once he left this circle, the white bear would definitely kill him first. There was still a long distance before Wang Sheng stopped the white bear. He slid down the white bear's forearm easily and stepped into the snow again. "Go back," patting the white bear. The white bear roared at Wang Sheng and turned to leave Wang Sheng. It did not even look at the 2 little ants following behind it and turned back on its own. The 2 experts who wanted to follow Wang Sheng were already dumbfounded. Instead of sitting on such a good mount, he insisted on leaving. What kind of habit was this? "Stop looking." Wang Sheng called out to the 2 of them and led the way forward. Do you think there is no price to pay to control such a huge demonic beast? When the 2 of them heard this, they suddenly felt enlightened and came to a sudden realization. It turned out that Wang Sheng was still yelling at them, but the 2 families were really intimidated by Wang Sheng. Not only did the leader of the Sure family take the initiative to kill the Sure family expert who provoked them, but after being ridiculed by Wang Sheng, he let Wang Sheng go. 10 experts at the peak of the legendary realm. The 2 families had used a lot of resources over the years to create these 10 experts. In order to obtain the peerless treasure, they risked everything and sent all of them to the core of the land of Thousand Despair. Before anything happened, one of them was lost just because he had thoughts about Wang Sheng. Thinking about it, that expert from the Sure family was really wronged. "Why? Do you want to do it again?" Wang Sheng said to the 2 of them without turning his head. We are about 30 miles away from them. If you are confident that you can meet them alive, you can turn around and go back. Of course, you can also try to attack me and see if you can force me to go back. How could the two of them have such confidence? Looking at the back view of Wang Sheng walking in front of them, as if he was not guarding against them at all, the two of them cursed in their hearts. However, they did not dare to show any of it on their faces. Was he playing a fool? There was indeed a price to pay to control a giant bear, but wasn't there a small fox just now? Where did that fox go? Did he really think that they were brainless fools? Since things had already come to this, there was no need for them to be fools anymore. They should obediently follow the previous agreement and leave with Wang Sheng. At the very least, they had to let the family know what happened inside, especially the fact that Wang Sheng could control a huge white bear. This was a new situation, and the family had to take this into consideration when making decisions in the future. What path are we taking? After walking for more than 2 days, the one from the Gan family was a little confused. Wang Sheng did not lead them back. It was not because they could distinguish the path clearly, but because none of the road signs they had left before had appeared. A shortcut, Wang Sheng answered concisely. Seeing that the two of them were a little confused, he did not want to let their imaginations run wild along the way. So he simply explained, in order to verify the locations of the formations along the way, we took quite a few detours along the way. The two of them nodded. They understood this. In fact, if they had not marked those formations along the way, they could have saved half the time. That path starts from the location of the 4 familiar demonic beast experts. Wang Sheng sighed. But if we go back now, we don't need to verify anything. We only need to take the most direct path to the edge. After saying that, Wang Sheng drew a line on the snowy ground. The 2 concentric circles that represented the core region and the grounds of Thousand Despair were drawn. Seeing that, the two of them immediately understood what Wang Sheng meant by this shortcut. Chapter 658. To put it bluntly, it was from the center of the circle to the point of the peerless treasure, and then a straight line extended outwards. This road was the shortest to the outside. However, although it was said to be a straight line, Wang Sheng still led the 2 people in a few small circles on the way. There was no other reason but to avoid the demon beasts. Among the previous 12 people, there were about 10 of them who were at the peak of the legendary realm, but now there were only 2 ordinary 8th-stage realm experts. Naturally, they could not rush around like before and had to avoid. Fortunately, the number of people was small and the target was small. Along the way, Wang Sheng discovered the demon beasts in time. They only encountered 3 or 4 sudden attacks from the demon beasts, and the 2 experts were injured. In fact, Wang Sheng had no choice but to make a move to resolve the crisis the 3 of them were in. When a heavy sniper crossbow shot a demonic beast, which the 2 8th-stage realm top exponents couldn't even take down into pieces, the 2 exponents then realized that Wang Sheng actually had such a trump card. Fortunately, they didn't have any thoughts about Wang Sheng at that time. Otherwise, Wang Sheng could tear them into pieces with just 1 arrow. When he recalled that he really did have such thoughts at that time, he broke out in a cold sweat when he recalled it now. When the 3 people finally saw the green jungle at the edge of the world of ice and snow, their tensed hearts were all put down. Under the urging of Wang Sheng, the 3 people sped up and exhausted their physical strength. Finally, they climbed up the ice cliff before dark and entered the jungle. Basically, at this point, they could be considered to have reached a safe place. Wang Sheng had absolute confidence to bring the 2 people back here, and in fact he did so. A group of 3 people appeared in the camp of the Imperial Treasure House again. After a day's rest, they immediately rushed back to the worry-free city. The Gan and Shur families had been waiting in the worry-free city until their hair turned white. After seeing their clansmen and Wang Sheng appear, they immediately breathed a sigh of relief. But before they could get any news from their own people, Wang Sheng had already disregarded the public and directly opened his mouth. Your people didn't follow the rules inside, and one of them died. You can ask your own clansmen about the details. Wang Sheng didn't care what the 2 families were thinking. He directly expressed his dissatisfaction. If you 2 don't give me an explanation, I won't cooperate with you anymore." After that, Wang Sheng went straight home without looking back, leaving the two families bewildered. They had no idea what had happened. Fortunately, his two disciples had returned with him. He could find out what had happened from their mouths, which was a blessing in disguise. Wang Sheng's return caused another small disturbance in the land of Thousand Despair. Everyone wanted to know what had happened in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair. They were all waiting for Wang Sheng to sell the details of his trip. However, he had to wait. He had to wait for the Gan clan and Shi clan to hear the details from their own disciples. Only then would they allow Wang Sheng to talk about the details. Soon, the two families found out what happened when they arrived at the destination of the peerless treasure. The Shi clan's manager in the grounds of Thousand Despair didn't dare to delay. He quickly sent the news back to the Shi kingdom and waited for the marquis to make a decision. However, once the news was sent back, the manager scolded the guy who had been beheaded in the worry-free city. Even if he was courting death, this wasn't the way to do it, right? Without Wang Sheng, how many demonic beasts could they have dealt with along the way? They only thought about going in, but didn't they think about how to get out? What a bunch of idiots. They had even cultivated to the peak of the legendary realm. They were indeed a bunch of idiots who knew nothing but cultivation. The Gan clan was the same, but the manager here was even more ruthless. Idiots, idiots, idiots. 3 idiots in a row. The Gan clan's manager seemed to feel that it wasn't enough to express his anger, so he added another 3. All of you are idiots. 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 You should have stopped that bastard from the Shi clan when he jumped out. What a good opportunity. The Gan clan's manager was vexed. Such a good opportunity to befriend Wang Sheng. But it was ruined by you idiots. Use your idiot brains and think. What would you have done after you came out? Would the family have sent an army to the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair just to send you out? Such a great favor. How much trouble could the family be saved with just a word? The manager scolded while regretting. If I had known this would happen, I would have followed them in, and this wouldn't have happened. Great. Now that we didn't have to pay 10s of times the price, do you think Wang Sheng would help the family? At this moment, the 2 experts who had followed Wang Sheng back realized how big of a mistake they had made in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair. Wang Sheng must have expected this to happen, so he had deliberately brought 2 people out alive to let them know how stupid they were. The Gan clan's expert wished he could slap himself dozens of times. When everyone saw that they had arrived at the destination, they had thought that Wang Sheng was useless. They had thought that there was no need for Wang Sheng since they had a map along the way and their cultivation was high, so they didn't have to worry about the demonic beasts. Only now did they realize how short-sighted and foolish they had been. On the way, the 2 people who had followed Wang Sheng had been worried that Wang Sheng would turn around and activate the demonic beasts in the core of the grounds of Thousand Despair to kill all of his companions in one fell swoop. Now, it seemed that Wang Sheng wouldn't do that at all. Leaving the 9 experts and the peerless treasure alive, the 2 families would be the fish that had been hooked. The Shi clan and Gan clan's higher-ups only realized this after the team had set off. Why did Wang Sheng put so much effort into helping the 2 families find the location of the peerless treasure? It was all because he was waiting here. With the peerless treasure as the big bait that couldn't be given up, Wang Sheng could fleece the 2 families however he wanted. Previously, the 2 families were still feeling proud that Wang Sheng had taken the initiative to give up the peerless treasure because he knew when to advance and when to retreat. They completely didn't expect that they had already taken the initiative to lie on Wang Sheng's chopping board. If it was in the past, Wang Sheng would have asked for a lot of gold coins, a lot of cultivation techniques, a lot of pills, and nothing more. But now, Wang Sheng had changed to a different person. That woman from the Marquis's residence in the capital was simply a person who would pluck the feathers of a goose and squeeze the oil out of a rock. In order to let Wang Sheng go in, she had already reduced the huge assets of the 2 families by at least 10%. If they invited Wang Sheng to go in again under such circumstances, it would be strange if that woman didn't scrape 3 feet of land from the 2 families. The response for both sides was very fast. In the time it took for the messenger bird to come and go, The news was sent over here, and the response was sent back almost immediately. Except for the time spent on the road, the two Marquis made almost the same decision without any consideration. They immediately sent someone to see Chang Sheng Ho and said all the good words first. They could not stop apologizing: gold, silver, jewelry, and beautiful women. But when the two families came to Wang Sheng's residence in Carefree City with a large number of compensation, they were told by the guard that the Marquis had just left Carefree City. After giving a lot of benefits, the guard finally spat out, saying that as soon as the Marquis returned, he received an invitation from the Imperial Treasure House and went to the Imperial Treasure House. Chapter 659. This time, the Imperial Treasure House that Wang Sheng went to was obviously not the branch of the Imperial Treasure House in the Carefree City. It was on the street of the Assassin's Hall. There were many people, and it was impossible for no one to see it. Lu Wenho invited Wang Sheng to the main branch of the Imperial Treasure House this time, in a city called Tongxing City, where the Tang, Song, and Qiu families met. It was the real home of the Imperial Treasure House. It was too easy for Wang Sheng to leave under the eyes of everyone. In the past, when Wang Sheng was alone, he could easily be followed by others. But now, there were 10 young experts from the Laojun Temple guarding Wang Sheng's residence. Even if those people wanted to follow him, they couldn't be as brazen as before. The Imperial Treasure House sent a car over. Wang Sheng got on the car quickly, and no one noticed him at all. As for using his aura to detect, it was a joke. Once the golden pattern was activated, even Ancestor Ling Su could not find Wang Sheng's aura, let alone these ordinary masters. Thus, Wang Sheng left without making a sound. No one noticed him at all. Until he left the Carefree City, no one noticed anything wrong with the car. Do you believe that you missed at least 10 beauties when you left? In the car, a beautiful girl in her 20s teased Wang Sheng. Don't you feel pity? This girl was the young master of the Imperial Treasure House, LV Wenho's precious daughter, Miss Ling Er. However, Ling Er was only a 13 or 14-year-old little girl before, a little beauty. Now, she was in the prime of her life, a young and invincible beauty. Compared to the immature little girl before, she was many times more attractive. What's a pity? Wang Sheng sat on the other side, holding a glass of wine, and said indifferently, "Do I look like a person who can't move when he sees a beautiful woman?" "No, you are." Miss Ling Er has never been polite to Wang Sheng since she was a child, and now she was even more so. Otherwise, why would you accept the long-legged killer of the Xia family as your second wife? There's also the original female master of the Baoqing Yutang in the capital as the first wife, eating from the bowl and looking at the pot. Isn't that the kind of person you are? If you think so, then so be it. Wang Sheng didn't want to argue with Ling Er. It was boring, so he just followed her words. Looking at Ling Er, who was still angry at him even though she had grown up, Wang Sheng couldn't help but tease. "So, Ling Er, are you also a gift from the Imperial Treasury to me? Are you kidding me? Shut up." Hearing this, Ling Er panicked, as if she had poked a hornet's nest. She immediately exploded. "I belong to my young master. Don't even think about it. Otherwise, I'll make you pay." Wang Sheng's words caused Miss Ling Er to lose her composure. She immediately snickered in her heart, but she didn't follow up with another attack. She just smiled and looked at Ling Er with the wine cup in her hand, causing Ling Er to blush. Only now did Ling Er remember that she had spoken her mind in a moment of panic. At the same time, looking at Wang Sheng's eyes, she couldn't help but snort coldly. She pouted, turned her head to the side, and no longer paid attention to Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng drank the wine very quietly. There were really a lot of good things in LV Wenho's car. The car itself was a good thing. Along the way, he didn't feel much bumps. It was not much worse than those luxury cars on the earth. The wine in the car was even more special. Although the alcohol content was not high, it was beautiful and mellow. It was really an excellent enjoyment. Ling snorted angrily for a good while. In the end, she still had the temperament of a young girl. Knowing that she had been played by Wang Sheng, she quickly adjusted herself. Looking at Wang Sheng, she said, "Fortunately, you still have some manners and did not touch your 2 wives. Otherwise, you would have to bear the consequences. What do you mean? Wang Sheng was interested. This little girl could actually see that he didn't touch Mayer and Aki. Interesting. That big wife of yours in the capital has a natural charm. Those who are slightly lacking in self-control will be involuntarily manipulated as long as they get close to her. Linger blinked her big eyes. Her long eyelashes fluttered like a small feather fan. With your cultivation, if you touch her, you will be a dog under that woman's feet for the rest of your life. What are you saying? Wang Sheng felt awkward. What do you mean by becoming a dog under Mayer's feet? He couldn't help but retort. That is because they are in love, a celestial couple. Oof. Anyway, they're a pair of dogs. Linger didn't have any good words for Wang Sheng. She snorted coldly and provoked him. You understand natural charm so well. Could it be that you are one too? Wang Sheng asked back. Is that why your young master doesn't dare to touch you? I am not. Linger immediately explained. My young master loves me so much. How is he like you? What about me? Wang Sheng asked confusedly. I didn't touch the big wife in the capital, and I didn't touch the second wife in the carefree city. Then where did you get the Rakshas's technique from? Linger snorted coldly at Wang Sheng. She looked at him with extreme disdain. No wonder this little girl didn't give him a good look since she got in the car. So it was because of this. Wang Sheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was this the reason why Linger was dissatisfied with him? You can see through Rakshas's technique? Wang Sheng really admired Linger's knowledge. If she were on Earth, she would be a proper human-shaped library. However, admiration was admiration. Wang Sheng wouldn't accept Linger's accusation. Since you know Rakshas's technique, you should also know that I can't force others to do it, right? Rakshas's technique was performed by Song Yin on Wang Sheng. Of course, Song Yin did it voluntarily. Even if it wasn't voluntary, the success rate would be very low. Hearing Wang Sheng's rebuttal, Linger had nothing to say, but she was still unhappy. Anyway, you're a bad guy who harms women. Just as Wang Sheng was about to defend himself, Linger quickly added, You're also a big idiot who's been fooled. Why do you say that? When Wang Sheng heard the last part, he couldn't help but ask in confusion, Why is she a big idiot? A woman who performed Rakshas's technique will have her cultivation level plummet, and it will take a long time to recover. Linger seemed to be dispelling Wang Sheng's doubts. She continued, However, during this period of time, she can communicate with you telepathically. No matter where you go, she can sense where you are going. Tell me, aren't you a big idiot? So that's how it is. Wang Sheng heaved a sigh of relief. What did it matter if Song Yin could sense where he was going? Anyway, Wang Sheng was either in the land of thousand despair, carefree city, or capital city. It didn't matter if he knew or didn't know. Could Song Yin follow him in? However, old Taoist Qin Shun didn't tell him about this. Could it be that he didn't know? Or was he hiding something? Or could this be Linger's little scheme? She wanted to use this method to make her own woman unhappy? It doesn't matter. Wang Sheng looked indifferent. Anyway, everyone knows that I went to the core of the land of thousand despair. What's the harm of one more person knowing? Chapter 660. Facing an old fox like Wang Sheng, Linger was still at a disadvantage. Wang Sheng actually didn't care about the meticulously prepared method of sowing discord. Furthermore, his reason was so strong that Linger couldn't refute it. Indeed, everyone knew that Wang Sheng had entered the core of the grounds of thousand despair. So what if he didn't use the dual cultivation method? Fine. Linger finally admitted defeat. I was just curious. Curious about what? Wang Sheng asked. Curious about which family was so lucky to successfully send you a beauty. Linger said dejectedly. Bao Qin Yutang overreached himself. That female owner probably recommended herself to sleep with him. Xiao family is lucky. They have a long-legged beauty assassin that you like who tried to assassinate you before. You can feel the thrill of revenge and successfully send in a beauty. Who is the woman who dual cultivated with you? Is it convenient for you to tell me? You're so young, yet you don't learn good things. How could Wang Sheng answer Linger's question? He immediately reprimanded her. If you want to seduce your young master, just say it. Go learn from Mayer. You might have a chance. Wasting time here with me. You found the wrong person. After Wang Sheng saw through her motive, Linger became even more embarrassed. She didn't dare to look Wang Sheng in the eye anymore, let alone talk to Wang Sheng. This allowed Wang Sheng to have some peace and quiet. While Wang Sheng and Linger were on the way, the Gan family and the Shi family had just found Wang Sheng's residence. Hearing that Wang Sheng had already left, they were annoyed but didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction. They gave all the jewelry and beauties to Wang Sheng. The guards at the door didn't dare to accept it. However, the two families didn't say anything. They threw the things and pushed the beauties over before leaving. Seeing the few women standing pitifully at the door with a pile of boxes, the guard leader had no choice but to enter the residence to discuss with Aki. Aki could be said to be the mistress of Wang Sheng's residence in Carefree City. Seeing this, she felt a headache coming on. After thinking for a moment, he nodded and asked the guards to leave the people and their belongings behind. At the very most, they could wait for Wang Sheng to return before making a decision. It was still possible for them to take care of their food and belongings for a few days. Along the way, the arrangements of the imperial treasury were very good. The food was delicious, the drinks were pleasant, and the journey was comfortable. Ling was indeed very knowledgeable. She talked about some interesting things with Wang Sheng. Sometimes, the two of them could even exchange some opinions. The journey was not boring. After walking for 7 or 8 days, they were about to reach the old nest of the Imperial Treasure House, Tongxing City. Wang Sheng asked Ling about the purpose of this trip. Didn't I tell you? Linger blinked her big eyes and pretended to be confused. In fact, she remembered very clearly that she didn't say anything to Wang Sheng. At that time, at Wang Sheng's residence, she only said that Marquis Lu Wenhou invited her, and Wang Sheng didn't ask anything and directly rushed over. The fact that Wang Sheng had waited so long to ask was already a testament to his patience. Most people would have asked clearly before they left the worry-free city. The master thinks that the young master has done a good job in taking charge of the Imperial Treasure House these years, so he intends to hand over the Imperial Treasure House to the young master to manage. Linger knew that she couldn't hide it anymore. Anyway, she was about to arrive, and there was nothing that she couldn't say. Finally, she said the real purpose. The young master said that you are a friend, and the master said that you are an honored guest, so they want to invite you to the ceremony. Oh, Wang Sheng's face showed a smile. This means that Marquis Lu Wenhou wants to be the master of the house. Good thing. But why did you say it now? I didn't even prepare for it. It's too rude. The master said. Linger rolled her eyes and said, Marquis Changsheng is an honored guest. It is a great honor for him to come. I don't dare to trouble the Marquis anymore. As she said, Ling used an old tone, as if she was imitating the old master. However, she was a 16 or 17-year-old girl. Imitating the old man would only make her look cute, without any majesty and steadiness. Got it. Wang Sheng nodded, then looked at Ling Er's face very seriously and asked, So, besides, what is the real reason for inviting me? Ling Er's lovely face suddenly froze, as if she couldn't figure out how Wang Sheng could guess that there was another reason. She couldn't help but ask, How did you know? Marquis Lu Wenhou sent you here to let me see it. Wang Sheng explained with a smile. When it comes to understanding you, your young master is the one who knows you best. You have been distracting my attention along the way. Isn't it obvious that you have something else to hide? Okay. Ling immediately hung her head down in frustration. It was true that she was well-read and knowledgeable, but to deal with an old fox like Wang Sheng, it was still beyond her power, and she was easily seen through. Bao Qing Yutang's old boss, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he came to find the master. They had already come here, and it seemed that Wang Sheng would not leave without saying a word. So Ling said, I want to cooperate with you on some things, but I'm afraid that you will refuse, so you want to let your young master take charge of the shop to trick me into coming here? Wang Sheng asked with a smile. It's not a trick, The master really wants to let the young master take charge of the shop. Linger hurriedly explained. Baoqing Yutang's matter is just a coincidence. In addition to the old boss of Baoqing Yutang, for such a big event, all the vassal states should send people to attend the ceremony, right? Wang Sheng asked. The Imperial Treasure House was not an ordinary business. It was now the world's largest chain business. As long as it was a slightly larger city, there would be a branch of the Imperial Treasure House. In the past, Baoqing Yutang also had such a scale, but since the direction of the business was concentrated on the salt and sugar business, Mayor left with a group of people, and the vassal states seized these two businesses. The scale of Baoqing Yutang was not as big as before. It could be said that now the Imperial Treasure House was the leader of the industry, and some of its businesses could really affect the countries. It was also reasonable for the vassal states to send people to attend the ceremony. There should be. Ling did not dare to say anything. She was only responsible for inviting Wang Sheng to come over. As for the other vassal states, there were others who would take care of them, and she was not responsible for it. The young master of the Imperial Treasure House taking over the shop was a big event. All the vassal states would send people, and the royal family should not be left behind. With so many forces gathered together, it was not as simple as taking over the shop. It was not the right time yet, and Wang Sheng did not know what would happen. However, safety was certainly not a problem. The specific things would be discussed at the specific time. At worst, it was a big deal. Wang Sheng would not be afraid of anyone. In the evening of the same day, Wang Sheng and Ling arrived at Tongxing City. Marquis LV Wenho personally greeted them at the city gate and solemnly took Wang Sheng to the Tianzi VIP building where the Imperial Treasure House was established. The vassal states can't help it. During the dinner, Marquis LV Wenho whispered to Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng nodded and said, "Nothing more. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."